At 9:17 that night, the picture frame beside my recliner changed from a Christmas photo to my son raising a glass of champagne on a hotel balcony. Behind him, the Savannah River reflected a row of lights. Claire leaned into his shoulder, wearing the green dress she saved for special occasions. A silver bucket stood open between them. The next photograph showed their suite. The one after that showed Nathan holding a menu beneath a sign for a private food tour. My phone was still open to the pharmacy page. Amount due, $684.34. 3 hours earlier, Nathan had told me they couldn't afford to help with my medication. He'd sounded so ashamed that I'd apologized for asking. Another photograph arrived. My son and his wife were laughing beneath a string of patio lights, their table crowded with oysters, steak, and a bottle of wine. I watched the frame for several seconds, waiting for it to go dark. Instead, Nathan appeared in a white bathrobe, pointing at a room service cart like he'd personally defeated hunger. The frame had been his Christmas gift to me. "Now you don't have to wait for us to send pictures," he'd said while setting it up. He had been right about that. I turned the frame face down. Earlier that afternoon, I'd spent 43 minutes on the telephone with my insurance company. Most of that time was devoted to a flute version of My Heart Will Go On, which seemed like an aggressive choice for people discussing access to medication. The woman who finally answered was named Teresa. She was polite, careful, and utterly unable to help me. My rheumatologist's office had submitted a new authorization for the arthritis medicine I'd taken for almost 3 years. The insurance company had received it, but it was still under review. They could not approve the refill until the review was complete. They also could not tell me when that would happen. "Could be 3 business days," Teresa said. "Could be 10. I suppose 20 would also fit under the word could." She paused. "I understand this is frustrating, Mr. Mercer. People say that when they understand you are frustrated but have no intention of joining you there. The medication wasn't the kind that made me feel better 10 minutes after I took it. It was the kind that quietly kept my hands from turning into 2 swollen objections at the ends of my arms. When I stayed on schedule, I could open jars, use a screwdriver, and button my shirts without negotiating with every knuckle. When I didn't, the stiffness started small and then spread. I had delayed the refill for 2 days already, thinking the paperwork would clear. The pharmacy offered me the cash price, $684.13. I had $216 in checking until my pension deposit. My emergency credit card had finally dropped below $1,000 after a year of careful payments. I could put the prescription on that card, but doing so felt like rolling a rock back uphill after I'd nearly reached the top. Nathan had borrowed money from me before, not lately and rarely in one dramatic amount. It had been $300 for a furnace repair, $200 for a suit, $90 because a restaurant had charged the wrong card, and he didn't want Claire to know he'd overdrawn the other one. He always paid some of it back, eventually. Usually after enough time had passed that asking made me feel cheap. Still, calling him was my last choice. He answered on the 4th ring with wind in the background. "Hey, Dad, everything okay?" "Everything's fine." That was the first lie, and it was mine. I told him about the authorization. I explained that it would be temporary. I said I could repay him when the insurance reimbursement came through, although Teresa had not actually promised there would be one. "How much are we talking?" he asked. $684. The wind vanished. I heard a door close. "Dad, I wish you'd called before it became an emergency." "I'm calling before it becomes one. You know what I mean." I did. He meant I had brought him a problem at a time when he did not want a problem. "We're stretched paper thin right now," he said. "This anniversary thing has already put us behind." At that point, I assumed this anniversary thing meant the dinner he and Claire were planning for the following Saturday. Nathan had asked me to pick up his charcoal suit from the cleaner because he'd be working late all week. "I wouldn't ask if I had another easy option," I said. "Can you wait until the insurance clears?" "I've already waited. 1 more week won't make that much difference, will it?" I looked down at my left hand. The middle finger was bent slightly, though I hadn't told it to bend. It might. He sighed, softly enough that he probably thought I couldn't hear. "Have you called Leah?" My daughter's name landed exactly where he intended it to. "No. She makes good money. I haven't spoken to her in almost 2 months. That doesn't mean she wouldn't help." It did not escape me that Nathan had found a way to recommend family loyalty while declining to practice it. "I'm not calling your sister for money. Well, I don't know what you want me to say. We just can't afford $600 right now. $684. "Okay, I was clarifying, not negotiating. There was another pause. Then his voice softened into the tone he used when he wanted to end a conversation without being accused of ending it. I'm sorry, Dad. I really am. I know. You'll figure something out. You always do. That was when I apologized. Sorry I put you on the spot. No, don't feel bad. I told him to enjoy his evening. He said he'd call me the next day. Then the photographs arrived. I slept badly. Not because of the arthritis, although my right hand throbbed enough to wake me twice. I kept remembering Nathan's voice when he said paper thin. He had sounded sincere. That was the part I couldn't settle. A person can lie with a smile, a stammer, or a hard voice. Nathan had lied with genuine regret. Somewhere inside my son, he believed he was a man who desperately wished he could help. At 6:30 the next morning, I turned the frame upright. It showed a plate of eggs Benedict. I went into the kitchen, filled the coffee maker, and discovered I could not twist open the new carton of creamer. I gripped it with a dish towel, then with one of those rubber pads companies send through the mail with insurance advertisements. The cap did not move. All right, I said to it, you've made your point. I drank the coffee black. At 7:12, Nathan texted, Morning, Dad. Hope you're feeling better. Any chance you could swing by our place later? Package coming that needs to be brought inside. I read it twice. He had not said anything about Savannah. He did not know I'd seen the photographs. Claire had likely added them to the shared album without thinking. She was a cheerful photographer and a terrible curator. Once she uploaded 19 nearly identical pictures of a bowl of soup. I typed, I can't do that today. 3 dots appeared immediately. Everything okay? My hand hurt, but not enough to explain why those 2 words irritated me. Not up to driving. He called before I could set the phone down. You sound tired, he said. I am? Is it the medication? Probably. I thought you said it would take a while to affect you. I said it might. Oh. In the background, I heard music and the clink of dishes. Where are you? I asked. There was just enough silence. Claire and I took a little trip to Savannah. Another silence, longer this time. You saw the pictures, the frameworks. Dad, listen. This was booked months ago. I didn't ask when it was booked. The hotel was prepaid. Most of it anyway. We couldn't just cancel. I didn't ask you to cancel it. You're doing that thing. I looked at the creamer carton on the counter. What thing? Where you get quiet, and somehow it's worse than if you yelled. I'm not trying to make it worse. Well, it feels judgmental. Maybe you should go eat your breakfast, Nathan. He lowered his voice. We had money set aside for this. That's different from suddenly having $700, $684. Oh, come on. I almost laughed. The amount mattered when he was refusing it, but became petty when I remembered it. Your package will have to stay outside, I said. Dad, it's supposed to rain. I'm sorry to hear that. It's a replacement tablet. It can't get wet. Then call someone who can afford an umbrella. The words came out before I could sand down the edges. Nathan went silent. I had spent most of his life editing myself for his comfort. Apparently the unedited version surprised us both. That was unnecessary, he said. Yes. You want me to feel guilty for going away with my wife? No. I want to hang up. I did. For the next minute, I stood in my kitchen with my heart pounding, as if I'd thrown a chair through his window instead of refusing to retrieve a box. Then I called the pharmacy. A technician named Marisol answered. She had a quick voice and remembered me, because I had once repaired the loose wheel on their waiting room blood pressure machine. We still don't have the authorization, she said. I checked first thing. I'll pay the cash price. You sure? No, but I'll pay it. She was quiet for a moment. We can have it ready by 10. At the pharmacy, my credit card hesitated in the machine long enough to make me sweat. Then, approved appeared in green letters. Marisol placed the bag on the counter without letting go. You missed doses? A couple. How are your hands? Still attached. That wasn't my question. It was the answer I had ready. She gave me the look competent women reserve for older men, who think jokes qualify as medical information. If it gets worse, call your doctor. I will. You promise? I promise to consider calling. Mr. Mercer. Yes. I'll call. She released the bag. On my way home, Dolores Wynn called to remind me about the repair cafe. She was 65, retired from the county library, and incapable of making a request sound optional. You're still coming at noon, she said. That depends. Are you bringing that ugly lamp? It is not ugly. It is misunderstood. It has grapes painted on it. They're tasteful grapes. They're purple balls with leaves. I'll see you at noon. I should have canceled. Instead, I took my medication, rested for an hour, and drove to the old community center where we held the cafe every Thursday. Dolores was waiting beside a ceramic lamp shaped like a wine jug. The cord was cracked near the base. "I warned you," she said. "It's magnificent. It looks like something a pirate won at bingo." She smiled and slid it toward me. The room smelled like dust, coffee, and hot solder. That smell usually settled me. I picked up my screwdriver, fitted it into the first brass screw, and turned. Pain shot across my knuckles. My grip opened. The lamp slipped off the table and struck the concrete floor. The ceramic jug split cleanly through the painted grapes. Every conversation in the room stopped. Dolores looked at the broken lamp, then at my hand. She did not ask what had happened to her lamp. She asked, "Frank, when was your last dose?" "That depends on what day it is," I said. "Thursday, then Monday." Dolores stared at me. Around us, 6 adults stood frozen in various poses of concern. Bob Kessler was holding a toaster upside down. Simone Park had one hand inside the open back of a clock. Eddie Flores was still squeezing the trigger of a cordless drill, although the drill had stopped turning. "Nothing to see here," I told them. "Return to your broken merchandise." Nobody moved. I dropped a lamp. I did not drop dead. "That's my lamp," Dolores said. "I'm aware of that. You called it pirate bingo trash. Those were private professional observations." She crouched to pick up a piece. I tried to do the same, but my fingers would not close around the ceramic. Dolores saw me trying. "Don't," she said. "I can clean it up." "Frank, there are people who raise their voices to command a room." Dolores lowered hers. I stood. Bob set down the toaster and found a broom. Simone brought over the plastic bin we used for scrap. No one made a speech. That was worse. A speech would have given me something to argue with. Dolores collected the socket and cord while Bob swept the purple grapes into a dustpan. "I'll replace it," I said. "With what?" "A lamp." "That was a lamp, a nicer lamp. You think you get to destroy my taste and then improve it?" "I didn't destroy your taste. I destroyed the evidence." Eddie laughed, which helped a little. Dolores did not. "You're done for today," she said. "I just got here," and made an immediate impact. I took the dose this morning. That wasn't my question either. I looked at the other tables. People were pretending not to listen with the intensity of trained spies. "My insurance held up the refill," I said. "There was a paperwork issue. For 4 days, 2 doses. How often do you take it?" "Regularly. Frank, weekly." Dolores pressed her lips together. "It's handled now. You always say that after something has already fallen on the floor." She handed the surviving electrical parts to Simone and told her to save them. Then she took my tool case off the table. I reached for it. "Give me that." "No, it's mine. So are your hands, and you're treating those like rentals." Bob became extremely interested in sweeping an area that was already clean. "I drove here," I said. "You're not driving home. My hands work well enough to hold a steering wheel. You couldn't hold a pirate lamp. Those are completely different licensing categories." Dolores picked up my coat. I could have made a scene. I could have taken the keys from her and forced everyone to watch me prove I was capable. The problem was that my right hand had begun to shake, just slightly. It might have been the pain. It might have been anger. Either way, Dolores saw it. I let her drive. Her car was a beige Buick with a dashboard that looked large enough to land aircraft on. A vanilla air freshener hung from the mirror. "This car smells like a cupcake in a nursing home," I said. "You're welcome to walk." "Are you always this pleasant when assisting the disabled?" "You are not disabled. You are temporarily foolish." She adjusted the seat before pulling away. The community center disappeared behind us. I watched it through the side mirror until we turned. Thursday Repair Cafe had been the one place where my hands still belonged entirely to me. At home, every stiff jar lid and dropped button reminded me that my body was changing. At the cafe, people handed me objects they had given up on, and I made those objects useful again. That morning, the broken thing had been me. Dolores drove 2 blocks before speaking. "How much was it?" "What?" "The medication." I looked at her. "Insurance doesn't hold up a refill and make a man like you miss 2 doses unless the cash price hurts. It's paid." That's another answer I didn't ask for. "Are you keeping a list?" 600. Close. "More?" 684. She let out a low whistle. 13 cents, I added. Well, thank God you're not rounding down in your time of crisis. I used the emergency card. You could have called me, I know. Could have called Bob. He likes you for reasons I have never understood. I wasn't going to pass a hat at the repair cafe. I didn't say pass a hat. I said you could have told someone. I told the insurance company. They were moved. She stopped at a red light and turned toward me. Who did you ask? It was an ordinary question. Still, my shoulders tightened. Nobody. That was too quick. The light turned green. The car behind us honked before she could move. Dolores lifted one finger toward the rearview mirror. I am helping an elderly man. Show respect. I'm 2 years older than you. The driver behind us doesn't know that. She continued through the intersection. You asked Nathan, she said. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. I asked for a temporary loan. He couldn't do it. Couldn't. Wouldn't then. Does changing the verb repair the lamp? It might repair something else. I turned toward the window. Dolores knew Nathan, although not well. He came to the Repair Cafe's annual fundraiser, bought the most expensive ticket package, and spent an hour taking photographs with the volunteers. He was good in rooms. He remembered names, shook hands firmly, and made every person feel as if meeting them had improved his day. He's away with Claire, I said. It was prepaid. Where? Savannah. Nice. I hear it has food. You hear that from the champagne pictures? I looked at her again. You knew? You turned that picture frame face down when I came by for coffee last month, because it was displaying Nathan shirtless at a pool. You don't turn it face down for landscapes. Despite myself, I laughed. Dolores kept her eyes on the road. That boy has always looked like he's campaigning for something. He's 40. That man has always looked like he's campaigning for something. He didn't ask Claire to upload the photographs. That's not the part I'm judging. You don't have to judge any part. No, I do that for free. She pulled into my driveway and turned off the engine. For a second, neither of us moved. If I tell you something, she said, you're going to hear criticism where I mean concern. Then improve your delivery. You make yourself so easy to neglect. I reached for the door handle. She caught my sleeve. I said you would hear criticism. And you were right. Frank, you give people the smallest possible version of what you need. Then you smile while they step over it. I asked him directly, did you tell him what would happen if you missed the dose? He knows I have arthritis. That is not an answer. I did not know what would happen, but you knew enough to call. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out. Nathan had sent 3 messages. Package rescued. Mr. Donnelly got it. Hope you're happy. Sorry. That was unfair. I'm stressed. Dolores watched my face. He all right? She asked. His tablet survived the weather. Then this is a blessed day. I put the phone away. I need my keys. You need lunch. I have food. Coffee is not food. It is when you put enough cream in it. You couldn't open the cream, could you? I said nothing. Dolores's expression changed. The sharpness went out of it. Oh, Frank. That is exactly the face I didn't want. What face? The one where I'm suddenly a damp dog on your porch. You've never been that appealing. She got out before I could object and carried my tool case to the front door. I followed more slowly, telling myself the medication would begin working again soon. My knees were fine. My shoulders were fine. My hands were one part of me, not the definition of the whole man. It took 3 attempts to fit the key into the lock. Dolores pretended to admire the gutter. Inside, the digital frame showed Nathan and Claire on bicycles beneath trees hung with Spanish moss. I reached over and turned it off. Dolores noticed. She did not comment. She made grilled cheese while I sat at the kitchen table. She used too much butter and flattened the sandwiches with a saucepan because she said my spatula was inadequate. You want me to call your doctor? She asked. I can call my own doctor. Will you? I promised Marisol. Who's Marisol? The pharmacy technician. You promised a pharmacy technician, but not me? She has access to my prescriptions. You had an ugly lamp. Past tense because of you. While we ate, my phone rang. Claire's name appeared on the screen. Dolores lifted one eyebrow. I'm not discussing this in front of you. I can go into the living room and listen from there. I answered and stepped into the hallway. Hey Claire, Frank, are you okay? Her voice carried the breathless brightness of someone calling between scheduled pleasures. I'm fine. Nathan said your medication got delayed. He told you that? He said you weren't feeling great. I wanted to check on you. Behind her, someone called that their table was ready. I picked it up this morning, I said. Oh, good. He said you probably would. There it was again. You'll figure something out. You always do. Claire lowered her voice. He feels terrible that he couldn't help. We really did book all this a long time ago. You don't owe me an explanation. I know, but the pictures must have looked awful. They looked expensive. She gave a small, uncomfortable laugh. The suite was Nathan's surprise. I told him the regular room was fine, but you know him. He wanted this anniversary to feel special. I looked through the doorway at Dolores. She was wrapping the uneaten half of my sandwich in foil. Did he? I said. Yes. Listen, can I ask you a favor? I closed my eyes. Go ahead. Nathan's charcoal suit is still at the cleaner. They close early tomorrow, and we land too late. Would you mind picking it up? He'll need it for Saturday. My right hand pulsed against the phone. I can't. Oh, of course. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. You didn't know. I'll arrange something else. She paused. We're still coming to your place Sunday, right? Nathan said you were making pot roast. I had forgotten about Sunday dinner. For 11 years I had served it at 1 o'clock. Nathan and Claire came when they could. Sometimes Leah came. Lately, she did not. I don't know yet, I said. Claire went quiet. Frank, is this about the prescription? No. It was my third lie of the day. After we hung up, Dolores stood in the kitchen doorway with her purse over one shoulder. You're making pot roast? She asked. I usually do. With those hands, they'll improve. And if they don't, I'll buy a softer cow. She did not smile. Before leaving, she wrote, "Call doctor," on the back of an envelope and placed it beside my phone. The envelope already had writing on it. It was the electricity bill. Excellent, I said. Now I'll confuse my rheumatologist with Duquesne Light. You're impossible. So, I've been told. When the door closed, the house became too quiet. I called the doctor. A nurse took my information and said someone would get back to me. Then I stood at the refrigerator, looking at the roast I had bought for Sunday. 4 pounds tied neatly with string. Enough for 6 people, although we had not had 6 at that table in a long time. On the refrigerator door was a photograph of Leah and me from 2 summers earlier. She had one arm around my waist. I was holding a tray of burned hamburgers. We were both laughing. Below it, pinned beneath a magnet, was the note she had left after our last argument. I'm tired of being asked to understand him by the person who never asks him to understand me. I had read it so many times that the fold had started to tear. I picked up my phone and opened our message thread. The last message was mine, sent 7 weeks earlier. Sunday dinner if you're free. She had never answered. I typed, then deleted, 3 different versions of an apology. Every one of them sounded like a request dressed in better clothes. Finally, I pressed the call button. Leah answered after 5 rings. Dad? I looked at the roast, the note, and the dark picture frame. Do you have time for coffee? I asked. There was a pause long enough for me to hear a turn signal clicking on her end. What kind of coffee? She asked. The kind people drink. I mean, is this coffee, or is this you asking me to solve something while holding a mug? I don't need you to solve anything. That's not what I asked. I sat down at the kitchen table. Just coffee. Why? Because we haven't had any in a while. We haven't had coffee because you called me cruel the last time we spoke. I said you were being hard on Nathan. You said I was punishing the whole family. You were. Okay. The word closed like a door. I shouldn't have said it that way, I told her. You shouldn't have said it at all. That's fair. Another pause. This is about Nathan, she said. Partly. At least you didn't lie. I almost did. That also sounds like you. I looked at the note under the refrigerator magnet. Leah, I don't know how to do this conversation well. Then don't try to do it well. Just tell me why you called. I want to apologize. For which thing? That was not sarcasm. It was inventory, more than one. She exhaled. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, Braddock Street, coffee. I'll be there. And Dad? Yes? Don't invite Nathan. I wouldn't. You've said that before. The call ended. I remained at the table with the phone against my ear until the recorded voice asked whether I wanted to call her back. The nurse from my doctor's office returned my call 20 minutes later. She asked about swelling, color changes, fever, and whether I could make a fist. I could, provided no one was strict about the definition of a fist. She told me to stay on schedule now that I had the medication and call immediately if the symptoms worsened. Rest your hands, she said. Both of them? if possible. That ruled out most of the activities I used to avoid thinking. I wrapped the roast and moved it to the freezer. The motion seemed simple until the butcher paper caught beneath a wire shelf, and I had to tug it free with both hands. By the time the freezer door closed, sweat had gathered along my hairline. My phone buzzed. Dolores had sent a photograph of the broken lamp pieces arranged on a table at the repair cafe. Beneath it, she wrote, "Simone thinks we can epoxy the body. I think we should give it a tasteful Viking funeral." I replied, "Fire may improve it." 3 dots appeared. "Did you call the doctor?" "Yes." "Did you tell the truth?" "Enough of it." She sent back a thumbs down. I turned off the kitchen light and went to bed at 9. Braddock Street Coffee occupied the first floor of an old brick bank where the vault had been turned into a private seating area. The door was so heavy I had to pull it with both hands. A man behind me caught it before it swung shut. "You got it?" he asked. I did eventually. Leah was already inside. She sat near the front window with a black coffee and a folded newspaper. She had inherited my dark eyebrows and her mother's ability to make waiting look like a formal protest. At 43, she wore her brown hair shorter than the last time I had seen her. A pair of reading glasses rested on top of her head. When I approached, she stood halfway, as if uncertain whether we were hugging. I solved it by taking off my coat. "Your hair looks nice," I said. "It's been like this since February. Then it has looked nice for months." She sat back down. I ordered coffee and a blueberry muffin I did not want. The young man behind the counter asked whether I wanted the muffin warmed. "What happens if I say no?" "You get a cold muffin?" I respect the honesty. Leah watched me carry the tray. "Your hand okay?" she asked. "Why?" "You're holding the cup like it insulted you." I set it down. "Arthritis is acting up." She glanced at my knuckles and then at my face. What happened? I had planned to begin with the surgery. 2 years earlier, Leah had undergone a shoulder operation. Nothing life-threatening, but she had needed someone to drive her home and stay overnight because her right arm was immobilized. I agreed. At 7 that evening, Nathan called because his water heater had begun leaking into the basement. Instead of telling him to shut off the valve and call a plumber, I drove across town to help. I told Leah I would be gone an hour. I returned after midnight. She had managed on her own. She had also remembered. That was where I should have started. Instead, I told her about the prescription. Leah listened without interrupting. Her expression barely changed when I reached the photographs. She tore one corner from her napkin and rolled it between 2 fingers. When I finished, she asked, "Do you need money?" "No, I paid for it." "On the emergency card? How did you know about that?" "You told me last year. I didn't realize you remembered. I remember most things you say to me, Dad. That's part of the problem." I lowered my eyes to the muffin. "I'm not asking you to pay it." "Then what are you asking?" "Nothing. People don't call after 7 weeks to ask for nothing." "I called to say you were right." She leaned back. "About Nathan? About me." That stopped her. I placed both hands around the coffee cup, letting the heat settle into my fingers. "I made you carry more because I knew you could," I said. "Every time he made a mess, I expected you to be reasonable about it. And when you weren't reasonable enough for me, I acted like you were the problem." Leah looked toward the window. "I didn't ask you to choose between us. I know. I asked you to stop choosing for him. I know. When you left my apartment after the surgery, I couldn't get my pain medication open. The cup shifted between my hands. You never told me that. You were busy fixing his water heater. I should have stayed." "Yes." "I thought I could do both. You always think you're doing both." "I came back, after midnight. You heated soup and acted like the soup erased the 6 hours before it." I remembered the can of tomato soup. I had found a clean saucepan, warmed it, and set it in front of her with crackers. She ate 3 spoonfuls. I had taken that as forgiveness because it was more convenient than asking. "You asked me if I was okay," Leah said. I said yes because I was exhausted. Then you went home the next morning and told everyone I was doing great. "I'm sorry." "Are you sorry because Nathan finally did it to you?" There it was, not shouted, not softened. The coffee shop grinder started behind us, filling the space where my answer should have gone. "Yes," I said when it stopped. "That's part of why I can see it." Leah's mouth tightened. "I knew it. You should know it. If I sat here and claimed the timing had nothing to do with him, you'd know I was lying." "So, I'm supposed to appreciate the honesty?" "No. What do you want from me?" "I want you to hear me say I was wrong without asking you to make me feel better." She studied me. I had watched that same expression on her face when she was young and deciding whether a piece of wood was level. Leah distrusted easy assurances. She checked. "I'm angry that it took him hurting you," she said. "That's fair? Stop saying that." What should I say? I don't know. Something less polished. I looked down. The worst part is, I still wanted to defend him to Dolores yesterday. "Who's Dolores?" "A friend from the repair cafe." "The lamp woman?" I stared at her. "You told me about her in December," Leah said. "The purple grape lamp?" I broke it. "On purpose?" "No. That's too bad." She smiled before she could stop herself. I did too. The moment passed quickly, but it changed the air. Leah reached for her coffee. "Nathan called me yesterday," she said. "What?" I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. She picked up her phone, opened the screen, and handed it across the table. Nathan's recorded voice came through the speaker. "Hey Lee, Dad's having an issue with his arthritis prescription. Insurance screwed something up, and he may need help covering it for a few days. Claire and I are out of town, so I'm not in a position to deal with it right now. Can you check on him? Don't mention I called." He gets embarrassed. The message ended. For a few seconds, all I heard was the hiss of milk being steamed behind the counter. "He did try," I said. Leah took her phone back. "He delegated. He called you. After telling you to call me?" He was worried. Then why did he say not to mention it? I knew the answer. If Leah paid for the medication, Nathan could tell himself he had helped arrange it. If she refused, he could tell himself the family had failed together. "He shouldn't have put you in the middle," I said. "No, he shouldn't have. But I'm glad he called." She studied me again, this time with disappointment rather than anger. "You're already doing it." "Doing what?" "Finding the good intention so nobody has to sit with the bad choice." The words struck harder because Nathan did have a good intention. That was how I had excused him for years. He rarely wanted anyone harmed. He simply wanted somebody else to absorb the cost of preventing it. "You're right," I said. "Dad." "I know. Stop saying that." She rubbed her forehead. "I'm not asking you to hate him. I don't either. I'm asking you not to use me as the responsible one again. I won't pay his share. I won't come to dinner and pretend nothing happened because you need the table to look like a family. And I'm not going to accept an apology from him just because you decide it's sincere. I understand. Do you? I'm trying to." "That's closer." We sat without speaking. Outside, a delivery truck blocked half the street while an angry driver leaned on his horn. Leah broke the top from her muffin. "You didn't order a muffin," I said. "I'm eating yours. I see that." "You weren't touching it? I was building toward it." She slid the bottom half back to me. "I can do coffee again," she said. "Not Sunday dinner. I wasn't going to ask." "I know you weren't going to ask today." It was not forgiveness, but it was specific. I could work with specific. When we stood, Leah put on her coat and looked at my hands again. "Can you drive?" "Yes." "Is that the true answer?" "Yes." She nodded. In the parking lot, she hugged me. It lasted only a second. Then she stepped away before I could turn it into more than she meant. Nathan called as I sat in my car. His voice was careful. "Hey, Dad. Claire says you might cancel Sunday. I am canceling. Because of your hands? Because I don't feel like serving dinner. We can bring food. I don't want company." Another pause. "Are you trying to teach me a lesson?" I looked through the windshield as Leah's car pulled into traffic. "No," I said. "I'm trying to learn one." "What does that mean?" Nathan asked. "It means I have spent a lot of time making things easy for people and calling that peace. So, this is a lesson." I said. "I'm learning one. You can decide whether you're in the class." Very funny? I wasn't trying to be. I watched Leah's car disappear at the light. "Did you talk to Leah about me?" he asked. "I talked to Leah about me. She played you the voicemail. It wasn't a question." "Yes, I was trying to help." "You were trying to arrange help." "What's the difference?" "You were 600 miles away in a hotel suite while she got the assignment. Here we go." "I'm not yelling, Nathan. You don't have to yell. You say everything in that disappointed voice. I don't know what voice you'd prefer. How about a reasonable one? The trip was prepaid. Claire and I have had a rough year. We needed this. You keep defending the trip against an accusation I haven't made. You told me to call somebody who could afford an umbrella. That was rude. It was more than rude. Was it inaccurate?" He inhaled hard through his nose. I could picture him pacing with one hand on his hip, looking for the version of the conversation in which he was the injured party. I offered to have food brought Sunday, he said. I don't want Sunday dinner. You always want Sunday dinner, not this Sunday. So, you're shutting out Claire too. That struck the old reflex immediately. Claire had done nothing wrong. She should not be punished for what happened between Nathan and me. I should make the roast, set the table, and keep the disagreement contained so she would not feel uncomfortable. I knew that reflex well enough to recognize its uniform. I'm not shutting out Claire, I said. I'm not hosting dinner, same result. Then she'll survive the result. He went silent. I almost apologized. Instead, I said, enjoy the rest of your trip. Yeah, that seems likely now. He hung up. My hands were sore enough that starting the car took both of them, but Leah was no longer there to see. I drove home slowly and parked behind the empty space where my car should have been. Only then did I remember it was still at the community center. I called Dolores. She answered with, "Did you drive?" I did. Should you have? Apparently not, because the car I drove is not the car at my house. There was a pause. What? My car is at the repair cafe. Oh, you drove me home in your Buick. I'm aware of the make of my own car, and now I'm home without transportation. You could have reminded me yesterday. I was busy experiencing a personal collapse. You hide those so well. She picked me up 20 minutes later. On the way, she told me Simone had taken the lamp pieces home. She planned to use a 2-part ceramic epoxy and reinforcing mesh inside the body. That sounds excessive, I said. It is an artisanal lamp. It came from a church rummage sale. Art can emerge from humble circumstances. Not that art. When we reached the community center, the repair cafe was closed, but Dolores had a key because she helped manage the building's event schedule. She unlocked the side entrance. You left your coat too, she said. I was wearing my coat when you drove me home. Then that must be Bob's. A brown coat hung over the back of my chair. It was 2 sizes too large and smelled faintly of pipe tobacco. Bob quit smoking 20 years ago, I said. The coat is struggling to move on. My tool case sat beneath the table. Someone had cleaned the screwdriver I dropped and arranged my tools in exact rows. I should have been grateful. Instead, the neatness irritated me. Simone did that, Dolores said. She didn't want anything to rust. Nothing there was going to rust overnight. I'll notify her that her thoughtfulness was technically unnecessary. I picked up the case. Pain tightened across the back of my right hand. Dolores waited. I can carry it, I said. I didn't offer. You were about to. I was about to watch. I switched the case to my left hand. Dolores locked the door behind us. At my car, I opened the trunk and set the case inside with more force than necessary. You know the cafe ran before you arrived, she said. Thank you. And it will run after you stop. Are you trying to improve my mood? No. I'm trying to reduce your ego to a manageable size. I do not have an ego about the repair cafe. You walked into that room yesterday like the electrical current came through you. People need guidance. People need you. That is not the same as needing only you. I shut the trunk. Did Simone say something? No. Bob? No. Then where is this coming from? You looked terrified when they picked up that lamp. I was embarrassed. You were relieved too, and you hated being relieved. I looked away. Dolores touched my sleeve, the same way she had in the car. You are allowed to be the person at the table who needs help, she said. I've been that person all week. No, you have been the person trying to get back up before anybody notices he fell. She walked to her Buick without waiting for an answer. At home, I turned the digital frame on long enough to find the settings. Nathan had created the family album when he installed it. The options allowed me to pause it, hide individual photographs, or disconnect the album entirely. I pressed pause. The screen froze on Nathan and Claire in front of a fountain. Claire was smiling at the camera. Nathan was looking at her instead, and the expression on his face was not performed. He loved his wife. I had never doubted that. The trip mattered to them. So did my medication. Both things could be true. Nathan's talent was arranging the truths, so only one of them required anything from him. I turned the frame off again. By Saturday morning, the swelling had eased slightly. I could close my left hand. The right still resisted. I used a jar of pasta sauce for lunch because its lid had a button in the center that released the seal. I felt unreasonably proud when it opened. Nathan and Claire's anniversary dinner was the evening. At 4, Claire sent me a photograph of Nathan in the charcoal suit. All worked out. Mr. Alvarez picked it up for us. Wish you were coming tonight? Rest those hands. Mr. Alvarez lived across the street from them. He was 76 and walked with a cane. I typed, "You sent a man with a cane to the cleaner?" Her reply came quickly. "He was already going past there. Don't start." I smiled despite myself. At 7, Nathan texted, "Home safe. We'll talk next week when everyone's calmer." Everyone meant me. I did not answer. Sunday arrived with none of its usual smells. Normally, by 9, onions would be browning in the Dutch oven. I would have music playing from the small radio above the sink. At 11:30, Claire would text that they were leaving soon. At 12:15, Nathan would ask whether I needed anything from the store, which was always too late to be useful, but allowed him to arrive carrying ice or rolls. At 1, the table was empty. I heated canned soup and ate it in the living room. The quiet was not peaceful. It had weight. Every clock seemed to have been placed closer to my chair. At 1:20, a car pulled into the driveway. Claire appeared on the porch carrying a white paper bag and a bottle of wine. I opened the door before she rang. "I know you said no dinner," she said. "This isn't dinner. What is it?" "Pralines and a peace offering. Wine is a dangerous peace offering. The pralines are the peace. The wine is for me if this goes badly." I let her in. Claire wore jeans, a gray sweater, and no makeup. Without the green dress and balcony lights, she looked tired. She set the bag on the kitchen counter and held up the wine. "Do you want this? It's 2 in the afternoon." That wasn't my question. "Put it down." She did. "I'm sorry about the pictures," she said. "You don't need to apologize for taking a vacation." "I know, but the timing was awful. The pictures didn't create the timing." She nodded slowly. "Nathan said you two had a fight. We had a telephone call. He described it as a fight. I didn't realize he had such high standards for conflict." Claire pulled out a chair. "Can I sit?" It's still America. That answer could mean anything. She sat. I placed the pralines on a plate, using both hands to open the bag. Claire noticed but did not offer. "I'm glad you got the medication," she said. "So am I. And I'm glad Nathan sent you the money." My fingers stopped against the folded paper. "What?" "He said he took care of it after you two talked. He felt bad about how everything looked." I set the bag down. "When did he tell you that?" "Friday night, after we got home. He didn't send me anything." Claire's face did not change immediately. She stared at me as if she were waiting for the second half of a sentence. "Maybe it hasn't gone through yet. He doesn't have my bank information. He said he took care of the prescription. He didn't." She reached for her phone, then stopped. "Did he give you cash?" "No." "A check?" "No." "Did he call the pharmacy?" "Not that they mentioned." The color rose slowly into her cheeks. "I asked him directly," she said. "I said I wanted to help you, and he told me there was no need because he had handled it." "I didn't know he told you that." Claire stood. For a moment I thought she might accuse me of lying. Instead, she pushed the chair in with painful care. "I should go." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do." "Claire." She picked up the wine, then she looked at it, gave a short, humorless laugh, and put it back down. "You keep that." The front door closed behind her. Nathan's truck arrived 18 minutes later. He did not knock. He opened the door with the key I had given him years ago and walked into my house carrying all the anger Claire had been too stunned to leave behind. "You could have warned me," he said. I remained seated at the kitchen table. "About what?" "That she was here. I didn't know she was coming. You knew what she thought, not until she told me." He glanced at the untouched pralines. "You could have covered for me for 5 minutes." The sentence hung between us. I looked at my son, and for once, I did not reach up to take it down. "What would covering for you have sounded like?" I asked. Nathan planted both hands on the counter. "You could have said I was going to pay you." "Were you?" "Yes." "When?" "I don't know." "Tomorrow." "You told Claire you already had." "I told her it was handled." "No, she used your words. She said you took care of it." He looked toward the doorway, as if Claire might still be standing there and could be persuaded to revise her memory. "I was going to," he said. "That is not the same thing. It would have been true by Monday. You can't backdate honesty." He gave a short laugh. "Listen to you. What does that mean?" "It means you've spent the last 4 days acting like I left you dying in a parking lot. I haven't told anyone what you did. You told Leah. I told Leah what I did to her, and I just happened to be the subject. You usually are when I apologize to Leah. He pushed away from the counter. There. That's what I'm talking about. Suddenly I'm the reason you two haven't spoken. No, I am. You invited her into this. I had coffee with my daughter after I said no to you. Yes. So how am I supposed to see that? I looked at him. Maybe not everything I do is about how you see it. His jaw tightened. The bottle of wine stood between us. Claire had chosen a label with a small blue house painted on it. Nathan picked up the bottle, read the back, and set it down again. She thinks I lied to her. You did. I was trying to keep this from becoming a bigger thing. You mean you were trying to keep her from knowing? Because she would react exactly like this. Like what? She takes everything as proof. Proof of what? He did not answer. The anger in his face shifted. For the first time since he walked in, he looked less like a man prosecuting a case and more like someone who had forgotten part of his defense. Proof of what? I repeated. That I care more about appearances than people. The kitchen became quiet. I could have chosen kindness. I could have told him Claire was wrong, that he loved generously, that the trip itself proved devotion. I could have taken the sharp fact and wrapped it in enough soft intentions that he would be able to hold it without discomfort. Instead, I said, "Why would she think that?" He stared at me. "Seriously, I'm asking. Because I like nice things. Because I like taking her places. Because I don't want every year of our lives to look exactly the same. Those don't sound like bad things. They aren't." Then that isn't the whole argument. His mouth opened, then closed. Nathan walked to the sink and looked out the window above it. He had always done that when cornered. As a boy, he watched the yard. As a man, he watched the reflection of the person behind him. "She says I'm good at gestures," he said. Claire had used almost the same words once, years earlier, after Nathan bought her a diamond bracelet 2 days late for their anniversary. She had thanked him, kissed his cheek, and then washed all the dinner dishes herself while he demonstrated the clasp to me. "What does she say you're bad at?" I asked, being present when things aren't fun. The answer came so quietly I nearly missed it. "And telling the truth when it makes you look bad?" He turned around. "I came here to talk about you." "No. You came here to ask why I didn't lie to your wife." "I did not ask you to lie." "What should I have said?" "That I was paying you Monday." "But you hadn't told me that. I'm telling you now. You're telling me after she caught you." He grabbed his phone from his pocket. "Fine, I'll send it right now." "I don't want it right now." His thumb stopped over the screen. "You called me because you needed money. I called you because I needed help. What is the difference? At the time, none. Now, quite a lot. This is impossible. If I don't pay you, I'm selfish. If I pay you, it doesn't count. I didn't say it wouldn't count. You just refused it. Because you aren't offering it to help me. You're offering it to repair what Claire thinks of you. So what? The pharmacy still gets paid. The pharmacy is paid. The credit card then? I'll handle it." His face changed when I used the phrase. He heard it too. "Of course," he said. "You always handle it. That is exactly what you said when you turned me down. Because it's true. Yes. What do you want, Dad? You want me to go back in time and cancel the trip? No. Downgrade the room? No. Sell the suit. Stop defending purchases I did not ask you to defend. Then tell me what you want." I leaned back in the chair. I wanted you to hear that I was scared to miss the medication. I wanted you to ask what would happen. I wanted you to think about it for more than 30 seconds before sending me to Leah. I did think about it. From a hotel. We were already there. That isn't the point. Then what is the point? The point is, if no one had seen those pictures, you would still believe you had been kind to me. He flinched. It was small, but I saw it. "I was kind," he said. "I didn't make you feel bad for asking. You let me apologize. I told you not to feel bad. After you made my medication sound like poor planning. You did wait until the last minute, because I thought I could solve it without bothering you. And whose fault is that?" The words hit cleanly. Nathan saw it and took a step back. I had taught him that my needs were inconveniences I could manage in private. I had accepted every late arrival, unpaid loan, forgotten promise, and half apology because I wanted him to keep coming through the door. Then I had acted surprised when he believed access to me required no maintenance. "Mine," I said. He had expected a fight. The answer left him with nowhere to push. "I should have asked sooner," I continued. I should have told you plainly that missing the dose could take my hands away from me for a while. I should have stopped saying I was fine when I wasn't. Nathan looked at my swollen knuckles. And you should have cared enough to ask. He lowered the phone. I do care. I believe you. Do you? Yes. That's what makes this difficult. He pulled out the chair across from me, but did not sit. Claire and I were barely talking before Savannah, he said. She wanted to cancel. I told her I'd make it special. I spent more than I should have because I needed one thing to go right. And did it? For a few days. I'm sorry. You don't sound sorry. I am sorry that your marriage is struggling. I'm not sorry I told Claire the truth. You didn't have to tell her. You just didn't protect me from it. There was the difference. Nathan had always considered my silence neutral. He never counted the work required to maintain it. I have protected you, I said, from your sister, from Claire, from yourself sometimes. I've told people you meant well, as if that erased what you did. You've done the same for Leah. No. You think she's perfect? No. I think I demanded that she repair whatever you damaged because she was easier to reason with. She loves making me the bad guy. She doesn't need my help to be angry with you. That sounds like help. I'm not going to carry messages between you anymore. I'm not going to ask her to forgive you. If you want a relationship with your sister, build one. Nathan finally sat. For several seconds, he rubbed his palms over his thighs. You've been waiting to say all this, he said. No. Feels rehearsed. It feels 40 years late. He looked around the kitchen. His gaze landed on the refrigerator, but from his chair he could not see Leah's note beneath the photograph. Are we done? He asked. I don't know. What does that mean? It means I don't know what happens next. That doesn't sound like you. No. He stood and reached into his pocket. For one foolish second, I thought he was taking out his phone to send the money anyway. Instead, he placed a key on the table. It was my front door key. You don't have to do that, I said. You don't want me walking in. I want you to knock. Same message. No, it isn't. It is today. He left before I could stop him. The key remained beside the pralines. I sat there until the sunlight moved off the kitchen floor. Then I put the candy in a tin and the wine in the cupboard. I almost returned the key to the hook near the back door, where I kept spares. Instead, I left it on the table. On Thursday, Dolores picked me up for the repair cafe, even though I told her I could drive. She said she needed help carrying something and refused to identify it. The something was her lamp. Simone had fitted the ceramic pieces together. The purple jug stood on the table with thin gray seams running through its body. One grape was missing, leaving a white notch near the base. It survived, I said. It has character now, Simone replied. It had a character before. He sold cursed jewelry beside a highway. Dolores touched the repaired seam. We left the crack visible. I noticed. You could paint over it, Simone said. But Dolores told me not to. Why? Dolores shrugged. So, I remember not to let you touch my things. My hands had improved enough to hold a screwdriver, but not tightly. When Simone placed the replacement cord beside the lamp, I reached for it. She kept her hand on the plug. I can do it, she said. I know. But I'd like you to talk me through it. The request embarrassed me in a different way. She was not replacing me. She was asking me to be useful, without pretending I was invulnerable. I sat beside her. First, check where the cord enters the base, I said. There should be a strain relief. Simone turned the lamp over. Here? Exactly. For the next 20 minutes, she did the work, while I explained. Twice I had to stop myself from taking the screwdriver out of her hand. The second time, Dolores slapped my wrist. When we finished, Simone installed a bulb and plugged the lamp into the test strip. The shade lit from within, casting warm gold across the repaired cracks. Dolores smiled. I thought of the key on my kitchen table. Some damage could be repaired without being hidden. That did not mean it had never happened. Simone left the lamp glowing while we worked on other things. People kept glancing at it. The seams were obvious, especially near the base. But the light softened them. Dolores placed it near the coffee urn, as if it were an exhibit. Donations accepted, she announced. Viewing is free. Do donors get to break it again? Bob asked. That privilege costs extra. I stayed in my chair and guided Eddie through replacing a frayed cord on an old box fan. He had repaired larger appliances for years, but disliked electrical work. I don't trust anything I can't see, he said. You can see electricity once, I told him. He pulled his hand away from the fan. "That is terrible instruction," Dolores said. "It is memorable instruction." By the end of the session, my hands ached, but I had not dropped anything. More important, nobody had treated me like a decorative object. Simone asked questions. Eddie disagreed with me twice. Bob handed me a jammed flashlight and then accepted it back when I said I could not get enough pressure on the housing. I had expected accepting help to feel like surrender. Mostly, it felt slower. When I returned home, Nathan's key was still on the kitchen table. I moved it aside to set down my wallet, then moved it back to its original spot. That accomplished nothing except proving I was thinking about it. Claire texted just after dinner. "I'm sorry Sunday became another mess. I didn't mean to put you between us." I wrote, "You didn't." She replied, "He thinks I ambushed him." I considered several answers. None of them belonged in their marriage. "I'm not going to referee," I wrote. "Fair," she replied. A minute later, another message appeared. "How are your hands?" "Better." "Not good." "Do you need anything?" The honest answer was that I needed someone to open a jar of pickles. The dishonest answer was the one I sent. "I'm all right." I stared at it, heard Dolores in my head, and deleted the message before Claire read it. Then I wrote, "I'm having trouble opening jars, but I have food I can manage." Claire responded with a heart, then, "Have you tried tapping the lid with a wooden spoon?" I had. I had also tried hot water, a rubber pad, and speaking to the jar in a tone usually reserved for parking enforcement. I set the phone down. 10 minutes later, my doorbell rang. Mr. Landry from next door stood on the porch in slippers and a Steelers jacket, holding one of those electric jar openers advertised on daytime television. "Claire ordered this for you," he said. "Delivery fellow left it at my house." That was fast. He was still on the street when she called me. Mr. Landry was 71 and had been annoyed with me since I trimmed a branch from his maple tree without consulting him. He entered my kitchen, removed the opener from its box, and read the instructions with the gravity of a bomb technician. The machine clamped onto the pickle jar and began rotating with a high mechanical whine. "This thing's got torque," he said. "It's opening vegetables, Harold. Still torque." The lid released with a pop. Mr. Landry looked pleased enough to forgive the tree. "You need anything else opened?" "Not tonight. I have channel lock pliers. I'll remember that." After he left, I texted Claire a photograph of the open jar. She sent back, "Victory." The gesture was small, practical, and slightly absurd. It was more helpful than Nathan's expensive Christmas frame had been in months. I did not tell her that. The credit card statement arrived the following Monday. $684.13 sat between a gasoline charge and $29 from the grocery store. The card company estimated that minimum payments would keep me indebted until the oceans boiled. I paid what I could. Nathan did not call. That was unusual. Even when we had nothing important to discuss, he called to ask whether I had watched the game or knew why his lawnmower rattled. Sometimes he called from the hardware store and made me identify screws through blurry photographs. His silence should have been restful. Instead, I began noticing every small occasion when I would normally hear from him. Tuesday evening passed without his drive home call. Wednesday brought no picture of a damaged cabinet hinge. On Thursday morning, I checked my phone twice before admitting I was checking it. Leah called at 9. "I have a meeting near Braddock Street at 11, she said. "I can do coffee at 10:30. That sounds dangerously spontaneous. It's scheduled spontaneity. I'll be there. I only have 45 minutes. I'll limit my emotional growth." At the coffee shop, she arrived carrying a folder, a laptop bag, and enough tension for 3 meetings. She ordered tea this time. "I thought we were having coffee," I said. "The location is coffee. The beverage is personal. I have missed these warm conversations. You had 11 years of Sunday dinners to enjoy them." Her tone was light, but the words were not. I stirred my coffee. "Were the dinners that bad?" "The food was good." That was not my question. She looked at me over the rim of her cup. "You really want to know?" "Yes." "You asked everyone else what they wanted, then decided what I should want." "I don't understand." "Nathan would arrive 40 minutes late, and you'd hold lunch. I would arrive 10 minutes late, and you'd tell me the roast was getting cold. You were usually on time." "Exactly." I almost explained that I held Nathan's meal because he would complain if it dried out, while Leah ate whatever I served without making an issue of it. That explanation proved her point so efficiently that I kept it to myself. "When you and Nathan argued," she continued, "you asked me to change the subject. When he and I argued, you asked me to be the bigger person. Every dinner had rules. They just weren't the same rules for everyone. I thought I was keeping the peace. You were keeping Nathan comfortable. I'm sorry. She watched me. No explanation? I had one. It was bad. That earned a faint smile. Her 45 minutes became an hour. She told me about a work project that had consumed most of her spring, and I listened without offering to call anyone, repair anything, or suggest she was taking it too seriously. When she closed her laptop bag, I asked if she wanted to come by Thursday after the cafe. For what? Food? What kind? I don't know yet. Who else is coming? No one. Is this a replacement Sunday dinner? No. Is Nathan invited? No. She studied me. Why not? Because I invited you. That isn't an answer. It's the one I have. Leah looked at the time on her phone. I can bring something, she said. You don't need to. Her eyebrows rose. Right. You should. I'll bring chicken. I can make potatoes. Can your hands peel potatoes? I can buy potatoes with thin emotional defenses, she laughed. Thursday evening, Leah arrived carrying a roasted chicken, a container of green beans, and store-bought biscuits. You said something, I told her, looking at the bags. I don't know your current definition of dinner. This is enough for 5 people. I panic bought. I had managed mashed potatoes by leaving the skins on and using the electric mixer. I also made gravy from a packet and concealed the packet at the bottom of the trash. Leah found it while throwing away a paper towel. You used powdered gravy. It's a temporary accommodation. You used to lecture me about powdered gravy. I was younger and crueler. You were 66, practically a child. We ate at the kitchen table instead of the dining room. The chair across from me was the one Nathan usually took. I nearly moved it before Leah arrived, then decided moving it would give the chair too much authority. Halfway through dinner, Leah noticed the key. She recognized it because of the blue plastic cap Nathan had added after accidentally taking mine home several years earlier. He gave that back, she asked. He put it down during an argument. Did you ask for it? No. Are you giving it back? I don't know. Leah took a biscuit. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You sounded disappointed while saying that. I contain multitudes. He thinks I don't want him here. Do you? I want him to knock. That's not the same as wanting him here. I considered that. I miss him, I said. Leah buttered the biscuit carefully. You can miss someone and still make them knock. It was the first gentle thing she had said about Nathan. I did not thank her. Gratitude would have made it a favor, and she was trying to tell the truth. After dinner, she washed while I dried. I could have managed the plates, but she had already put on the yellow rubber gloves from beneath the sink. You still have these? She asked. They're good gloves. They're older than my car. Your car is 7. Exactly. She held up one hand. A crack had opened along the thumb, letting water inside. Some things need replacing, Dad. Those cost $4. I'll start a fund. When she left, she took the trash bag with her because my hands were sore. She did not make a ceremony of it. The following Sunday, I did not make pot roast. I heated leftovers and carried them to the living room. The picture frame remained dark. Nathan's key remained on the table. At 1:20, right around the time he would normally have arrived late, my phone vibrated. Not Nathan. It was a notification from my credit card company saying a payment of $684.13 had been posted to my account. The payment description read, N. Mercer. I stared at it for a long time. Then I texted him, Payment received. Thank you. His reply came 20 minutes later. You're welcome. Nothing else. I accepted the money because it had been a loan when I asked for it. Refusing it now would have turned repayment into another test Nathan could fail without knowing the rules. But the exactness of the amount bothered me. He had paid the debt to the penny, as if precision could keep the transaction from touching anything around it. At the repair cafe the next Thursday, Simone brought a toaster oven with a broken thermostat. Bob had 3 flashlights spread across his table. Dolores's lamp glowed near the coffee urn, its seams looking less gray in the warm light. My hands were good enough to work carefully, though I still asked Eddie to loosen anything stubborn. We were halfway through the session when Nathan walked in. He wore a blue quarter-zip pullover and carried 2 large boxes with pictures of bright red tools printed on the sides. A third box sat on a hand truck behind him. Bob looked up. Well, he said. Christmas came early. Nathan smiled. It was the smile he used in rooms. I hope so. He set down the boxes, took out his phone, and angled it toward the tables. Everybody get in, he said. I brought the cafe an upgrade. Dolores looked at me. Nathan did not. He lifted the phone, framed himself beside the boxes, and smiled into the screen. Then he finally turned toward me. "I got you something," he said. The boxes showed screwdrivers with wide rubber handles, lightweight drills, magnetic clamps, and a motorized vise that could be operated with one hand. Nathan stepped aside so I could see the labels. "They're designed for people with arthritis," he said. "The grip pressure is supposed to be half what you need with normal tools." Bob came closer. "That vise is nice," he said. "It should be," Nathan replied. "It cost more than my first car." "That was a bad car," I said. Nathan looked at me, uncertain whether I was joking. Eddie examined the drill pictured on the box. Simone read the list of features. Everyone was trying to behave normally, which made the room feel like a restaurant after someone proposes marriage and the person being proposed to has not answered. Dolores walked over to the coffee urn. "Fresh coffee," she announced, in a different part of the room. Bob understood first. He followed her. Simone and Eddie took longer, but they eventually drifted toward the other tables. Nathan watched them go. "I thought they'd be excited. They're trying to give us privacy." "I didn't ask for privacy." "No, I noticed." He folded his arms. "You could say thank you." "Thank you," that sounded painful. "It is thoughtful equipment. I spent 2 nights researching this stuff. I believe you." "Then what's the problem?" I glanced at the phone in his hand. "Did you get the picture?" His eyes narrowed. "I was documenting the donation." "Why?" "So people know about the cafe. People who need the cafe. People in general. Do people in general know you paid for my medication?" "That was private." The answer came quickly. I let it remain in the air. Nathan lowered his phone. "This is different," he said. "It is. You're determined to make everything I do wrong. I didn't say the tools were wrong. You're looking at them like they insulted your mother. The tools and I have no personal conflict. Then let the cafe have them." I touched the top box. It was heavier than I expected, although not so heavy I couldn't manage it with both hands. "We already have tools," I said. "Not like these?" "No." "You dropped a lamp, I remember. You're still having trouble with your hands. I remember that too. So, use something that makes it easier." There was care underneath his irritation. It had survived the photograph, the public entrance, and the boxes large enough to announce themselves from the parking lot. He had spent time learning what might help me. That mattered. It was not all that mattered. "Take them home, Nathan." He stared at me. "You're serious?" "Yes. I paid you back. I gave you space. I come here with something you actually need, and you send it away. If you want to donate equipment, call Dolores. Ask what the cafe needs. Do it without the photograph. Why does the photograph matter? Because you took it before you even spoke to me. It was one picture. It was the first thing you did." He looked toward the other tables. Dolores was pouring coffee she did not want. Bob had begun explaining the toaster to Eddie, although Eddie had heard the explanation an hour earlier. "You're embarrassing me," Nathan said. "I'm speaking quietly. That doesn't make it private. You brought the boxes into a crowded room. Because I thought you'd be happy. I am grateful that you thought about my hands." "No, you aren't." "Yes, I am." "Then accept the gift. Those are not the same action. To a normal person, they are." I nearly responded to the insult. Then I saw that he looked exhausted. "Come into the storage room," I said. "Why?" "So this can be private. Bit late for that. Then stay here and keep performing." He followed me. The storage room held folding tables, holiday decorations, and 3 towers of metal chairs that nobody trusted. I turned on the fluorescent light. It flickered several times before committing. Nathan closed the door behind us. "All right," he said. "No audience. Tell me why I'm terrible." "I don't think you're terrible. Could have fooled me. I think you're scared." He laughed. "Of you? Of doing something kind that nobody sees. That is ridiculous. Then why did you photograph yourself? Because social media helps organizations. Did you ask if we have social media? You should. Did you ask whether people who bring broken lamps want their pictures online? I wasn't photographing them. They were behind you." He rubbed the back of his neck. "This isn't about the photograph. No. It's about Savannah. It started before Savannah. Here we go again. You asked. I did not ask for a history lesson. I'm not giving one. I'm telling you the tools don't repair what happened. They're not supposed to. They're tools. Then why did you bring them instead of coming to talk? Because every time I talk, you turn it into a test I didn't know I was taking. What test? Tone, timing, motive. If I send you money, it's too late. If I buy equipment, it's too visible. What exactly am I allowed to do? Sit down beside me without a camera, and do what? Ask how I am? I know how you are. You're angry. My hands, Nathan. He glanced down. How are your hands? Better. Good, but I'm afraid they won't stay better. He looked at me again. That was the sentence I should have said during the first telephone call. Speaking it now did not erase what he had done, but it made me feel exposed in a way the pharmacy bill had not. Nathan shifted his weight. Your medication works, he said. It has so far. So, stay on it. Insurance can delay it again. It may stop working. The arthritis may get worse anyway. Then we'll find something else. The word came easily when there was no immediate task attached. That is what scares me, I said. I have spent my life being the person with the steady hands. Nathan leaned against a stack of folded tables. You think I don't know that? I don't know what you know. You fixed everything, even when I didn't want you to. That sounds like a complaint. Sometimes it is. I waited. When Claire and I bought the house, he said, you came over and replaced half the outlets without asking. You told everyone the old ones were dangerous. They were. You made me feel like I couldn't take care of my own house. I was helping. You were showing me you could do it better. The accusation bothered me because it was not entirely wrong. I liked being needed, but I liked being impressive too. I should have asked, I said. Nathan looked surprised. Fine, he said. And maybe I should have asked before bringing the tools, yes. But if I had called, would you have said yes? No. Then asking is just ceremony. No. Asking would have given us a conversation before you spent the money. He pushed off the tables. I'm not returning them. Then keep them. I don't need arthritis tools. Someday you might. That's not funny. Not every true thing is a joke. He reached for the door. Nathan, he stopped. You could stay, I said. We have another hour. Bob's fighting with a toaster oven. His hand remained on the knob. You want me to volunteer? I'm asking if you want to sit with me, after you reject what I brought. Yes. What am I supposed to do? Pretend those boxes aren't in the middle of the room. We can move them to your truck. That sounds humiliating. Only if you require everyone to believe you never misjudged anything. He opened the door. I have somewhere to be. Of course you do. He turned back. See? That? You always get one last cut. You're right. The admission did not help. Nathan wheeled the boxes out one at a time. Nobody watched directly. Dolores began telling a loud story about getting trapped in an elevator at the county courthouse. Bob held the door. When the last box was loaded, Nathan returned the hand truck to the wall. You should have kept the vise, he said. It really was a good one. I'm sure it was. He left. Through the front window, I watched him secure the boxes in the bed of his truck. Before climbing into the cab, he stood with both hands on the tailgate and looked toward the building. Then he drove away. Dolores stopped talking about the elevator. Bob returned to his toaster. Simone pretended to need something from a cabinet. I sat at my table. Well, Dolores asked. He took them. I have eyes. You also have opinions. I can hear them warming up. She pulled out the chair beside me. You did the right thing badly. That seems to be going around. He wanted an audience. Yes. He also researched arthritis tools. Yes. You thanked him? Yes. Like a human? I used words. That wasn't my question. I looked across the room at the test strip where her lamp remained lit. I told him I appreciated the thought. And I told him to take everything home. That must have made the appreciation sparkle. What would you have done? I would have kept the vise. Despite myself, I laughed. Dolores rested one elbow on the table. I understand why you said no, she said. But don't turn boundaries into a maze. If every attempt he makes proves something bad about him, he'll stop attempting. He brought a camera. He brought a phone. Everyone has a phone. He photographed himself before he spoke to me. That was ugly. Thank you. But the tools were not imaginary. The research was not imaginary. You don't have to accept the boxes. You do have to accept that the gesture might be both selfish and sincere. I rubbed my right thumb against my palm. I asked him to stay. Did he? No. Then he has work to do too. We returned to the tables. The toaster oven had defeated Bob. Its screws were recessed beneath the housing, and two had been stripped by a previous owner. I showed him how to place a rubber band over the screw head for extra grip. It worked on the first one and failed on the second. "That trick's 50% effective," Bob said, like most advice. By the end of the session, we had not fixed the toaster. We tagged it for another week. At home, Nathan's key was where he had left it. I picked it up, carried it to the hook near the back door, and stopped. Putting it there would look like an invitation. Leaving it on the table made it an accusation. I put it in the kitchen drawer with the spare batteries. The drawer closed badly because one battery had rolled under the organizer. I lacked the patience to fix it. Claire called while I was heating soup. "I saw the tools," she said. "I assumed you would." He came home furious. He arrived furious. He said you made him carry everything back out in front of everyone. I asked him to take it home. Same result. I leaned against the counter. "What do you want me to say?" "I don't know. I'm trying not to mediate. So am I." He really did spend 2 nights researching. He read reviews, he watched videos, he asked me which colors you'd hate least. That surprised a laugh out of me. He chose red. I told him you'd hate the blue more. You were right. Claire was quiet for a moment. "I know the picture was stupid," she said. "I know he does that. But he wasn't only doing that. I know. Do you? I did when he was standing here. I just didn't know what to do with both parts. Welcome to my marriage. There was no humor in it. Claire, I'm not going to tell you what to do about Nathan. I didn't ask. No, you didn't. He thinks you've decided who he is. I'm trying to stop deciding who he meant to be." She exhaled. "That sounds like something Dolores told you." "It is not. It has her energy." I smiled. After we hung up, I ate the soup standing at the counter. I considered calling Nathan, but every opening sentence sounded like an argument wearing a clean shirt. Instead, I sent one message. "The research mattered. Thank you for doing it. I still mean what I said about the photograph and the boxes." The message showed as delivered. He did not answer that night. He did not answer the next day. By Sunday, the silence no longer felt like space. It felt like Nathan had found one more way to make somebody else carry what he refused to hold. That conclusion felt clean for about 10 minutes. Then I remembered that Nathan had returned the key, paid the exact amount I asked for, and carried 3 boxes back to his truck without making a public scene. Silence could be punishment. It could also be the only boundary he knew how to set. I picked up my phone. His name sat at the top of the message thread beneath my unanswered text. I typed, "Are you free to talk?" I deleted it. Then I typed, "I don't want this to continue." That sounded like a threat or a condolence. I deleted that too. In the end, I put the phone face down and ate 2 crackers over the sink. The following morning, I found a container of chicken salad and a package of new yellow rubber gloves on my porch. A note was taped to the lid. "Some things need replacing. Lunch at noon, if you're free." I texted Leah that I was free. She chose a diner near her office where the menus had photographs of every meal. The meatloaf looked more alert than I felt. Leah arrived at 12:11, dropped into the booth, and handed me a set of printed pages. "What's this?" I asked. "Your insurance appeal." "How did you get it?" "You emailed me a copy last year when you needed help scanning something." "I don't remember doing that." "I know." She had marked 3 sections with a yellow highlighter. The appeal had been approved, which I already knew from the pharmacy's automated call, but it said nothing about reimbursement for the prescription I had paid for during the delay. "You can submit the receipt," she said. "They may credit it toward your deductible. I thought this wasn't about solving something over coffee. This is lunch. I see you found a loophole. I'm not paying the bill. I'm handing you paper. Fair. Don't start." I folded the pages and put them beside me. The waitress came, called us both honey, and talked me into the meatloaf despite the photograph. Leah ordered a salad. "You know you're going to eat my fries," I said. "I know you're going to complain while moving the plate closer." I moved it farther away. She smiled. "Nathan called me," she said. My hand stopped on the water glass. "When?" "Saturday." "What did he want?" "To apologize." "That's good." "No, it wasn't." I waited. He said he was sorry things had gotten out of hand. Then he explained the vacation, the hotel, the prescription, the tools, and how you had dragged me into a fight that wasn't mine. "I didn't drag you into it, I know." "Did you tell him that?" I told him the fight between you two wasn't mine, but the history between him and me was. The waitress set down our food. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "What did he say?" I asked. "He said he'd always looked up to me." That sounds true. It can be true and manipulative. Yes. Leah gave me a warning look. I mean it, I said. Both can be true. He apologized for borrowing money after my divorce and not paying it all back. I had forgotten that. Not the divorce. The loan. How much? I asked. $1,400. The meatloaf lost what little appeal it had possessed. He told me it was $600. He told you about it? He said he needed help with the deposit on his apartment. I gave him $200. Leah nodded once. He repaid $800, including your $2. Then he told me he'd settled everything. I stared at the brown gravy spreading toward my potatoes. That was 9 years ago. I'm aware. Why didn't you tell me? I did. I looked up. At Sunday dinner, you said he was going through a hard time and I should give him room. A memory returned in pieces. Leah angry near the sink. Nathan gone early. Me stacking plates and telling her that keeping track of every dollar would poison the relationship. I had thought she was upset about the delay. I had not asked for the total. I'm sorry, I said. I'm not telling you so you'll apologize again. Then why are you telling me? Because when Nathan called, he said you'd made him feel like he'd never done anything right. For about 5 minutes, I felt sorry for him. You can feel sorry for him, I know. Then he asked if I would call you and help smooth things over. I closed my eyes. I told him no, she said. Good. You sound relieved. I am. Because I set a boundary or because I refused him? I considered the question. Both. She nodded. At least you know. I ate a bite of meatloaf. It tasted better than it looked, which seemed unfair to the menu photographer. Are you going to call him? Leah asked. I don't know. He'll think I told you. You did. I mean, he'll think I'm recruiting you. I'll tell him I asked. You didn't? Then I'll tell him the truth. She ate 3 of my fries. I don't want to be part of a coalition, she said. Neither do I. I'm serious. I'm not coming back into your life to stand on one side of Nathan. I understand. If you and I have a relationship, it has to exist when you two are getting along too. That was a harder promise than it sounded. Reconciliation with Leah could not remain an emergency project activated by Nathan's failures. I'd like that, I said. Then next time we have dinner, don't spend half of it talking about him. Did I do that? You counted the key as a separate subject. But yes. I looked at my plate. What do you want to talk about? My work? Your cafe? Movies? The fact that you still use a rake held together with duct tape. That rake has structural history. It has tetanus. We finished lunch without mentioning Nathan again. At the repair cafe, the lamp became a kind of mascot. Dolores put a small index card beside it that read, "Repaired by Simone Park under extreme supervision." I crossed out extreme and wrote experienced. She crossed out experienced and wrote unwanted. People began bringing more complicated items because they had heard we would teach them how to participate in the repair. A retired accountant named Gordon wanted to learn why his floor lamp kept blowing bulbs. A nurse named Renee brought a mixer that had belonged to her former roommate. She did not care about the mixer itself, she said, but wanted the satisfaction of proving she could fix something the roommate had declared useless. Repair is a healthy activity, Dolores told her. Spite is an excellent diagnostic tool, I added. My hands improved a little each week. Not enough to forget what had happened, but enough to use my lighter screwdriver. I stopped hiding the tasks I could not manage. When a housing refused to open, I handed it to Eddie. When a screw required more force, Simone took over without waiting for an apology. The work became less mine. Strangely, the cafe felt more like mine than it had before. One Thursday, the community center's coffee urn died with a sound like a small animal giving up. Bob volunteered to inspect it, then discovered a layer of mineral buildup, thick enough to qualify as geology. We need a funeral, he said. Dolores has experience arranging those, I told him. She pointed at the repaired lamp. Mock the urn, and you're hosting refreshments next week. I have a coffee maker. You have a kitchen. That was how my house became the location for what Dolores insisted on calling an emergency coffee urn dinner. I am not feeding 12 people, I said. No one asked you to? It's potluck. I don't like potluck. You don't like not controlling the menu. What if everyone brings dessert? Then we die happy. The gathering was set for Sunday at 1. The hour was Dolores's choice. I did not tell her it was the same hour as my old family dinner. She may have known. Dolores often knew things and disguised them as scheduling. I invited Leah. Who's coming? She asked. I listed the cafe volunteers. Is this a trap where everyone tells me how wonderful you are? They've met me. Good point. She agreed to bring salad. I made pulled pork because it required little knife work and could sit in a slow cooker without supervision. Dolores brought baked beans. Bob arrived with 2 grocery store pies and claimed to have baked them in their original plastic containers. Simone made noodles with sesame oil. Eddie brought beer and a folding chair, even though I had enough chairs. Leah came last, carrying salad and the electric jar opener Claire had sent. You brought my appliance back to my house. I thought someone might need entertainment. Dolores took one look at her and said, You have Frank's eyebrows. I've been trying to return them for years. Within 10 minutes, they were discussing the lamp as if I were not present. The meal did not resemble Sunday dinner. People served themselves. They ate in the kitchen, dining room, and living room because there was no formal table large enough. Nobody waited for me to sit down. Nobody asked whether the gravy was homemade. When the pulled pork ran low, Eddie added more rolls and declared it a bread course. I kept expecting to feel displaced in my own house. Instead, I noticed how little work it took to host people who arrived carrying something. Leah sat beside Dolores on the couch. Simone leaned against the mantel. Bob examined the dark picture frame and asked whether it was broken. No, I said. Want me to look at it? It works, then why's it off? It was showing too many pictures. He accepted that as a technical explanation. At 3:30, people began packing leftovers. Dolores assigned containers without consulting me. Eddie carried trash to the outside bin. Leah loaded the dishwasher. You didn't wash first, I told her. It's a dishwasher. It's not a miracle worker. You have control issues. I have standards. She closed the dishwasher and started it. Dolores hugged me on her way out, which surprised both of us. This was nice, she said. It was loud. Same thing at our age. By 4, only Leah remained. She wiped the counter while I returned serving spoons to the drawer. Did you have fun? She asked. I survived. You had fun. I object to the word. She smiled and folded the dish towel. This can exist when you and Nathan are getting along, she said. I knew what she meant. This isn't his replacement, I know. Or yours. I know that too. A knock sounded at the front door. Not the bell. 3 deliberate knocks. Leah and I looked at each other. Through the glass, I saw Nathan standing on the porch. He had no key. He had no gift, no boxes, and no phone in his hand. Behind him, the driveway was crowded with the cars of people who had just left. I opened the door. Nathan looked past me at the used plates, the folding chair, and the remains of a gathering he had not known about. Then he looked at Leah. I guess I missed dinner, he said. You missed a potluck, I said. Nathan's gaze moved around the room again. On Sunday, at 1. It was the time everyone could come. Everyone. No. People from the repair cafe. And Leah. She brought salad. Leah stood in the kitchen doorway with the dish towel still in her hand. Nathan looked at her. You didn't mention this? We haven't spoken since you asked me to fix things with Dad. I did not ask you to fix things. You asked me to call him and smooth things over. That's not fixing things. It is when you won't make the call yourself. Nathan glanced at me. Did you two plan this conversation? No, Leah and I said together. That's convincing. Leah placed the towel on the counter. I'm leaving. You don't have to, I said. I know. Nathan stepped farther into the entryway so she could reach the door. Can we talk for a second? He asked her. Not here. Then where? I don't know yet. I already apologized. You explained. I said I was sorry. You said you were sorry, then spent 15 minutes proving none of it was really your fault. I was giving context. An apology doesn't need a defense attorney. Nathan looked at me again. I lifted both hands. This is not mine. You sure seem comfortable letting her come after me. I'm walking to the door, Leah said. That is the opposite of coming after you. She put on her coat. Nathan moved aside. His face had gone red along the cheekbones. I did look up to you, he said. Leah's hand stopped on the doorknob. I know, she replied. That's why it hurt when you treated me like a backup account. Then she left. Nathan watched through the glass as she crossed the porch. I came here to talk to you, he said. And somehow, I'm already losing another argument. You don't have to win every conversation. That's easy to say when everyone's on your side. I looked at the dishes, the empty food containers, and the folding chair Eddie had forgotten. Nobody here talked about you. Nathan gave me a tired look. Sure, they didn't. Leah came to a Sunday meal at your house, and I'm supposed to believe my name never came up. It came up after everyone left. How comforting. I stepped away from the door. Do you want to come in? I'm already in. I mean, farther than the doormat. He hesitated, then took off his jacket. I hung it on the hook where his key used to be. In the kitchen, Nathan looked at the slow cooker, which held a spoonful of shredded pork and mostly sauce. What was all this? He asked. Dolores called it an emergency coffee urn dinner. That explains nothing. The coffee urn broke. She made me host. People don't usually respond to broken appliances with pulled pork. You don't know Dolores well. Nathan touched the lid of one pie container. Did Bob make these? He claims he did. They're from Giant Eagle. His baking style is commercial. For a second, Nathan almost smiled. I pulled a clean plate from the cupboard. Are you hungry? I'm fine. That's not an answer. He noticed the phrase. Yes, he said. I'm hungry. I put pork on the plate, added green beans, and found a biscuit in a plastic bag. Nathan sat in his usual chair. The sight of him there felt familiar enough to hurt. He took one bite before speaking. I didn't know you had people over. I didn't know you were coming. That's obvious. You were welcome to call. I sent you money. I thanked you. You sent me that message about the tools. Yes. I didn't know how to answer without starting another fight. You could have said that. I just did. The correction was small, but I heard it. Nathan set down his fork. I came because Claire told me if I was waiting for you to make the first move, I needed to admit that. She sent you? No. She told me not to come if I was still angry. Are you? Yes. I appreciate the honesty. I'm trying it out. How does it feel? Overrated. He ate another bite. I sat across from him, though my kitchen chair was still slightly warm from where Dolores had been. I handled the tools badly, I said. Nathan stopped chewing. I should have taken you aside before saying no. You did take me aside, after everyone saw me reject them. You didn't reject them until we were in the storage room. I thanked you like I was signing for a delivery. That's true. I'm sorry. He looked at me carefully. But? He asked. No but. You still think I was showing off. I do. There it is. That doesn't cancel the apology. I can be sorry about how I treated you and still disagree with what you did. He leaned back. So, you're allowed nuance. Apparently. And I'm not. You're allowed all you can carry. That sounds like Dolores too. She is having a corrosive influence. Nathan looked toward the living room. Is the frame still off? Yes. Why? I didn't want the pictures. You could remove the vacation album. I know. So why didn't you? Turning it off was easier. He nodded slowly, as if storing the answer. I posted the tool picture, he said. I assumed you did. I took it down. Why? Claire asked me what I wanted people to think when they saw it. What did you tell her? That I was helping. And? She asked whether helping still counted if the person didn't want it. I picked at a scratch in the table's finish. What did you say? I told her you did want it. You were just being stubborn. That sounds like you? She said it sounded like you too. I laughed before I could stop myself. Nathan smiled, then looked down at his plate. Our trip wasn't bad, he said. That's the stupid thing. We had a good time. We talked. I thought maybe we were past whatever this year has been. You don't have to tell me about your marriage. I know. He turned the fork over in his hand. Claire says I'm generous when I get to choose the gift. I waited. She said your prescription wasn't my choice. It was an obligation that showed up without good timing, so I treated it like a threat. That sounds harsh. It is. Is it wrong? He met my eyes. No. The admission cost him something. I did not rush to reduce the price. I did want the trip to matter, he said. I wanted one thing to prove I wasn't failing at everything. You're not failing at everything. I know that. Do you? He looked irritated, then tired again. I don't know. A quiet house can make truth feel louder. The refrigerator clicked off. A car passed outside. What happens now? Nathan asked. I don't know. You keep saying that. It keeps being true. Am I invited next Sunday? There isn't a dinner next Sunday. The one after? I don't know. So I have to earn an invitation. I didn't say that. You don't have to. I folded my hands on the table. I don't want Sunday dinner to go back to what it was. What was wrong with it? You arrived whenever you wanted. I held the food. Claire brought wine. Leah stopped coming. I cooked and cleaned, then told myself the full table meant we were close. We were close. We were familiar. Nathan flinched again. That's cruel, he said. It's not meant to be. Then maybe you should think before you say things. You're right. He shook his head. Stop doing that. Doing what? Agreeing. It feels like you're collecting evidence that you're calm and I'm not. That surprised me. I don't know what to say. You could say you miss it. I do. The dinner? You... His face changed. I had spent weeks practicing harder truths. That one was harder than all of them. I miss you too, he said. He looked away immediately. I let the silence stay soft. After he finished eating, he carried his plate to the sink. He rinsed it without being asked and placed it in the dishwasher. The bowls go on the top, I said. They're plates. Then the bottom is acceptable. Thank you. He closed the dishwasher. What do you want me to do? He asked. About what? This. Us. I don't want another purchase. Understood. I don't want you to apologize to Leah because I told you to. I already tried on my own. You asked her to manage me in the same call. He rubbed his forehead. Okay. And I don't want you disappearing whenever you feel ashamed. I was giving you space. Partly. Fine. Partly. There's a stripped screw on a toaster oven at the repair cafe. Nathan stared at me. What? Thursday at noon. I could use another pair of hands. You want me to fix a toaster? I want you to show up. I work Thursdays. Then say no. I can probably move some things. Don't tell me probably. He glanced toward the front door. I'll check my calendar tonight. Good. And if I can't come, tell me before noon. That's it? That's Thursday. Nathan put on his jacket. At the door, he stopped beneath the empty key hook. You didn't put the key back, he said. It's in a drawer. Which drawer? The one with the batteries. Why? It was in the way. He nodded, although neither of us believed that was the whole reason. Do I get it back? Not today. His jaw tightened. Then he caught himself. Okay. He left through the door he had knocked on. Wednesday night, he texted. Move my morning call. I'll be there at noon. At 11:45 Thursday, I set the stripped toaster screw on my table and cleared the chair beside me. At 12:10, the chair remained empty. At 12:30, Nathan wrote, Client emergency. Sorry, nothing I could do. I read the message once and placed the phone face down. Dolores saw. He coming? She asked. No. She did not comment. At 1:15, the phone vibrated again. Nathan had sent another message. That wasn't true. The client thing ended at 11. I sat in my car outside my office and decided coming there would be uncomfortable. I chose something easier. I'm sorry. I read it twice. The apology did not change the empty chair. It changed something else. I typed, Thank you for telling me the truth. His reply came immediately. Is the toaster still broken? Yes. Next Thursday? I looked at the stripped screw, the empty chair, and Dolores pretending not to watch me. Next Thursday, I wrote. A week later, Nathan walked into the repair cafe at 11:52. He carried no boxes. His phone stayed in his pocket. He stopped beside my table, looked at the toaster oven, and pulled out the chair. Where do I start? He asked. Unplug it, I said. Nathan looked at the cord lying loose beside his elbow. It is unplugged. Then you've already completed the first step. Is this how you talk to everybody? Only the promising students. He turned the toaster oven over. The metal housing had 4 screws along the bottom. 3 came out easily. The 4th had been damaged so badly that the Phillips-shaped opening looked like a small silver pond. Nathan examined it. Who did this? Previous owner. With what? A spoon, confidence, and the wrong screwdriver. He reached for the drill. No, I said. You haven't seen what I'm doing. You're reaching for speed before you understand the problem. That feels personal. It is useful in several areas. He released the drill. Across the room, Dolores set a paper cup of coffee beside him. I put sugar in it, she said. I don't take sugar. You look like you need sweetness. Nathan glanced at the repaired grape lamp near the urn. That's the lamp Dad broke? He wounded it. Simone and I improved it. You can still see the cracks. That's how we locate your father's table. She walked away. Nathan watched her go. I understand why you like her, he said. She's exhausting. You like being challenged, not this much. He He fitted a rubber band over the stripped screw and pressed the screwdriver into it. Steady pressure, I told him. I know. Then use some. He pushed harder and turned. The screwdriver slipped. Nathan muttered something. What was that? I asked. Technical terminology. He tried again. The screw shifted a fraction. There, I said. I felt it. Keep the angle straight. I am. You're leaning. You're hovering. I moved my chair back 3 inches. Better? No. Then this is emotional, not spatial. His mouth twitched. On the 4th attempt, the screw turned. Nathan removed it with slow, careful pressure and held it up. You want to take a picture? I asked. He looked at me. I regretted it before his face changed. That was cheap, I said. Yes. I'm sorry. He set the screw in the magnetic tray. Thank you. We lifted off the housing. The thermostat contacts were blackened, and one connector had warped from heat. Nathan bent close to inspect it. Can we replace that? Yes. With what? I pointed toward the parts bins along the wall. He started to stand, then stopped. You want me to search, or do you know exactly where it is and plan to watch me fail? Second bin, third drawer. He found the connector and returned. For the next hour, I talked him through removing the damaged part, cleaning the contacts, and crimping a new terminal onto the wire. His hands were larger than mine and less practiced. Twice he tried to force pieces that needed to be aligned. Once he dropped a screw and spent 5 minutes crawling under the table while Dolores offered to loan him a magnet. I have it, he called from the floor. That's what Frank says, she replied. When the toaster was reassembled, we plugged it into the test strip and placed a slice of bread inside. Nathan pushed the lever. The heating elements began to glow. We waited. The bread emerged pale on one side and black on the other. Nathan held it up. I made charcoal. The thermostat works. The rack is crooked. You knew that? I suspected. So, we're not finished. That is generally how repair goes. He sighed, took off the housing again, and began removing the screws. This time, he did not reach for the drill. At 2:15, the toaster produced a respectable slice. Nathan carried it around the room as if displaying a rare document. Bob inspected both sides. I'd eat that, he said. We don't know where the toaster's been, Simone replied. I've eaten at the bus station. That is not a medical qualification. Nathan laughed. He stayed while we folded tables and emptied the trash. When Eddie struggled to lift a crate of donated appliances, Nathan took the other end without announcing it. He asked Simone where she wanted the loose tools instead of arranging them according to his own system. At the door, Dolores handed him a paper bag. What's this? He asked. The burnt toast. I don't want it. Souvenir? He took it. Outside, Nathan and I stood beside his truck. The bed was empty. Where are the red tools? I asked. In my garage. Using them? I used the vise to hold a drain pipe. How was it? Good. I told you. No, you didn't. You told me to take it home. I was thinking it. He leaned against the truck. I can come next week. Good. If that's okay? It is. I have a call until 11:30. I might be a few minutes late. Then tell me if you are. I just did. Yes. He opened the driver's door. Nathan? He turned. Thank you for coming. The gratitude landed differently this time. No boxes stood between us. Nobody's camera was raised. Thanks for letting me ruin toast, he said. He returned the following week at 12:05 and apologized before taking off his coat. The week after that, he called on Wednesday. Claire and I have an appointment Thursday, he said. I can't come. What kind of appointment? The kind married people make after spending a year pretending things are fine. You don't have to explain. I know. I wanted to. He sounded embarrassed. Go to the appointment, I said. That was the plan. I'll save you something frustrating for next week. Make it expensive. We specialize in free frustration. After we hung up, I caught myself smiling. The changes were not smooth. Nathan still tried to solve uncertainty with purchases. He brought 3 new surge protectors after noticing ours were old. I told him we could use one. He returned the other 2 without sulking for more than 20 minutes. He corrected Bob's method for winding extension cords, then became offended when Bob told him to wind his own business. The next week, Nathan brought him coffee as a peace offering. Sugar? Bob asked. 2. You remembered. I'm campaigning for something. Bob laughed hard enough to spill it. Nathan also missed another Thursday without calling. At 2 o'clock, he texted that he had forgotten. There was no client emergency and no elaborate defense. I forgot. I'm sorry. I'll put it on my calendar, I replied. Do that. The following week, he arrived early. He did not become a different man. He became a man forced to notice his habits before the rest of us agreed to ignore them. I was learning the same skill. When my right hand stiffened during a repair, I asked Nathan to take over instead of waiting until the screwdriver fell. When he aligned the part incorrectly, I corrected him without grabbing it back. This would go faster if you did it, he said. Many things would. That sounded insulting. It was mostly pride. At least you're honest. Overrated, isn't it? Terrible system. Claire came once to pick him up after her car went into the shop. She stayed near the entrance as if the cafe were territory Nathan and I had agreed not to make her responsible for. He was helping Renee diagnose her mixer. Claire watched him listen to Renee's explanation without interrupting. When he noticed Claire, he lifted one hand but did not reach for his phone. On their way out, Claire touched my shoulder. He talks about the cafe, she said. Mostly complaints? Detailed complaints. That is how men express devotion to machinery. She smiled. They seemed easier beside each other, though not magically repaired. Nathan asked whether she was ready before walking out. She said no and finished buttoning her coat. He waited. It was ordinary. That made it noticeable. Leah continued coming for dinner some Thursdays. We stopped pretending every meal was evidence of progress. Sometimes she stayed an hour. Sometimes she ate quickly because she had work. Once she canceled, and I did not ask whether she was angry with me. At the next dinner, she brought a small photo printer. What's that for? I asked. The frame? I told you it works. You told Bob it shows too many pictures. It does. Then make it show different ones. She turned on the frame. The paused photograph of Nathan and Claire by the Savannah fountain appeared. Leah looked at it. They look happy, she said. They were. Do you want to delete it? No. That surprised both of us. I did not want to erase their trip. The photographs had hurt because they arrived beside a need Nathan had dismissed. The trip itself was not a crime, and pretending it had not happened would turn my pain into another kind of dishonesty. Leah opened the settings. We can disconnect the shared album and make one for you. I don't take pictures. You own a phone. That is not the same thing. It has a camera. It also has a calculator. I'm not an accountant. She created an album called Frank's Frame. The title sounded like a hardware store. The first photograph she added showed the repaired lamp glowing at the cafe. The second showed Dolores holding a burnt slice of toast beside Nathan's face. He looked annoyed. She looked delighted. Where did you get that? I asked. Claire sent it to me. Claire sends you pictures? Sometimes. You two talk? We're adults, Dad. I'm aware. That expression suggests otherwise. She added a photograph of the potluck. I was in the background carrying a stack of plates while Bob pointed a serving spoon at the camera. The frame began cycling through the 3 images. It needs more, Leah said. I have had it for 4 minutes. You've had a life for 68 years. Most of it occurred before digital photography. She picked up her phone and aimed it at me. Don't. Too late. The shutter clicked while I was frowning. She added the picture. Delete that. It's accurate. It makes me look angry. You were angry. This album is already biased. She smiled and set the frame back beside my recliner. Nathan saw it the following Thursday when he came by the house after the cafe. The frame displayed the photograph of him with Dolores and the burnt toast. I looked terrible, he said. You looked worse in the bathrobe. He gave me a sideways glance. I'm still sorry you saw those pictures that night. It was the first time he had said it, without mentioning that the trip was prepaid. I know. I was mad at Claire for uploading them. She didn't do anything wrong. I know that now. The frame changed to the potluck photograph. Nathan watched it. Are you doing another one? He asked. Probably. Am I invited? The question was careful, but not casual. I don't know yet. He nodded, though disappointment tightened his mouth. I'm not trying to punish you, I said. I know. Leah needs space. From me. Yes. So if she comes, I don't. For now. He walked into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. You still have the electric jar opener? Cabinet beside the sink. I need to borrow it. What for? A jar? I waited. He looked back at me. What? Nothing? I was admiring the completeness of your answer. He found the opener. Before closing the cabinet, he said, I paid Leah the rest of what I owed her. I leaned against the counter. Did she ask? No. How much? 600. I thought of the amount she had named at the diner. Did she answer? She said she received it. Anything else? No. Nathan removed the jar opener from the cabinet. I left her a voicemail too. What did you say? That I lied about paying her back. That you helped me hide it without knowing, and then I used your approval to make her feel unreasonable. I told her she didn't have to call. No defense. No request that she understand him. That sounds like an apology, I said. It didn't work. Maybe working isn't the point. He looked toward the living room, where the frame changed to Leah and me, laughing over the potluck dishes. I keep thinking if I say the right thing, everyone has to let me back in. People aren't combination locks, I know. Do you? He gave me a tired smile. I'm trying to. He left with the jar opener beneath one arm. Later that evening, Leah called. I got his money, she said. He told me. And the voicemail. He told me that too. There was a pause. Did you help him write it? No. Did Claire? I don't know. She exhaled. It was better. Good. That does not mean I'm ready to see him. I know. It doesn't mean I forgive him. I know. You're being very calm. I'm standing near a repaired lamp. She laughed softly. Then she said, I have 4 days off next month. All in a row? Miraculous, I know. I was thinking about driving up to Lake Erie. Separate rooms, split the cost. No emotional ambushes disguised as sightseeing. I looked at my hands. They were not the first thing I thought about. When? I asked. The second weekend. I checked the calendar hanging beside the refrigerator. That would mean missing the repair cafe. They have other adults there. I smiled. They do. So? The frame changed again. This time, it showed Nathan bent over the toaster oven, listening while I pointed toward the exposed thermostat. I had not known anyone took that photograph. Yes, I told Leah. Let's go. Leah emailed me a hotel reservation, a list of restaurants, and a document titled Possible Activities. The document had 17 items. I thought this was a relaxed trip, I told her. Planning allows relaxation. You scheduled an optional sunset. I listed the time. You gave the son an appointment. It has been reliable so far. We agreed to drive Friday morning and return Monday. Leah offered to use her car. I started to argue, then remembered my promise about emotional ambushes. Your car, I said. That was suspiciously easy. I'm growing. Have Dolores verify it. Nathan came to the cafe the next Thursday carrying the electric jar opener. Worked well, he said. What did you open? Pickled peppers. You bought an electric device across town to open pickled peppers? I borrowed an electric device. Important distinction. He placed it on my table. You could keep it, I said. No. Claire says if I bring home one more kitchen gadget, she's moving into the garage. She may like the vise. She does not. Nathan hung his coat over a chair. Bob had brought in a walnut table radio with a rounded face, cloth speaker grill, and 2 cracked Bakelite knobs. It had been sitting in his garage for at least 20 years. It hums, Bob explained. But no stations. I do that before coffee, Dolores said. Nathan leaned toward the radio. That's nice. Careful, I said. Interest leads to responsibility. He turned it around and examined the back. Can we work on it? Not until we replace the cord. The insulation is brittle. So we replace it. We? You told me interest leads to responsibility. I handed him a screwdriver. While he removed the back, I checked the calendar on my phone. I won't be here in 2 weeks, I said. Nathan looked up. Doctor, Lake Erie. His eyes shifted from the radio to me. With who? Leah. The question arrived in his face before he said it. When did you plan that? Last week. Okay. He looked back at the screw. You want to say something? I asked. No. That has not gone well for us historically. He set the screwdriver down. I'm trying to decide whether what I want to say is fair. That's new. Yes, Dad, I'm aware. I waited. It hurts that she'll take a trip with you and won't have lunch with me. That sounds fair. I'm not asking you to cancel. I know. Or invite me. I know. I'm saying it hurts. I nodded. Thank you for telling me. He picked up the screwdriver. Are you excited? Nervous? Why? 4 days away from home. Different bed. Long drive. Your medication. I'll bring it. That wasn't my question. I looked at him. My hands have been better. Also not the question. No. They're part of the nervousness. He nodded once. You want me to check on the house? The offer was careful. No. Harold's next door. Harold hates you. He has an electric jar opener now. We've reached a treaty." Nathan smiled. He did not ask about the trip again. We removed the radio's back panel and found dust, old tubes, and a paper label printed with a diagram of the chassis. The cord was worse than I expected. "This thing was waiting to burn Bob's garage down," Nathan said. "Bob's garage has been trying to burn itself down for years." We replaced the cord and tested the tubes. One was dead. Bob searched online for a replacement, while Nathan cleaned the knobs with warm water and dish soap. The radio occupied our table through 3 sessions. It required patience, which neither Nathan nor I possessed in matching amounts. He wanted to replace every old component at once. I wanted to diagnose each failure before touching the next. "You know we could buy Bob a Bluetooth speaker for $30, Nathan said. "Go say that to him." Bob looked over from his table. "What?" "Nothing," Nathan replied. On the second week, we found a cracked solder joint beneath the chassis. I turned the radio upside down in its cradle and reached for the soldering iron. "I can do that," Nathan said. "So can I." "Your hand's shaking. It will stop." "Give me the iron. I've been soldering since before you were born, and I've been alive for 40 years. Neither fact makes your hand stop shaking." I gripped the handle tighter. The tremor worsened. Nathan reached over and switched off the iron at the power strip. Anger rose through me so quickly it felt younger than I was. "Do not turn off my tools." "Then don't pretend." "I am not pretending." "You can't hold it steady. I know what I can hold." "Like the lamp?" The room went quiet. Nathan regretted it. I could see that. It did not make the words disappear. I stood. "Finish without me." "Dad?" I walked into the storage room and shut the door. The fluorescent light flickered overhead. Folding tables leaned where Nathan had stood during the argument about the red tools. I sat in one of the metal chairs and pressed my right hand between my knees until the shaking eased. After a minute, the door opened. Nathan stepped inside, but did not close it. "I'm sorry," he said. "That was cruel." "Yes. You don't get to use the worst moment of this against me because you're frustrated. I know. You keep saying that after you do it. I know that too." I looked away. He sat in the chair opposite me. "I wasn't trying to take the work away from you," he said. "You turned off the iron because I thought you'd burn yourself. I know how to set it down. You also know how to ask for help. But here we are." The words landed closer to the truth than I wanted. "I asked you for help," I said. "With the medication." "Yes," and I said no. "Yes." He rested his elbows on his knees. "I could have afforded it." The storage room seemed to narrow. "What?" "I had the money. I kept my voice even. I know, no, I don't mean in some general way. There was money in checking, enough to send it right then." I waited. "It was supposed to cover the suite upgrade and the anniversary dinner," he said. "I'd already promised Claire the trip would be special. If I sent it to you, I would have had to tell her I spent part of that money, or put the rest of the trip on a card. So, when you said you couldn't afford it, I meant I couldn't afford it without changing what I wanted." The honesty was ugly and complete. I felt the photographs again. Champagne, oysters, the bathrobe, my phone open to the pharmacy total. Why tell me now? Because every time I say the trip was prepaid, I'm still lying a little. I looked at my hands. "You let me apologize for asking. I know. Stop saying that. What else do you want me to say?" "The truth. I was ashamed as soon as you hung up. Then Claire uploaded those pictures, and when you saw them, I got angry because your knowing made the shame harder to manage." I let out a breath. Nathan's voice tightened. "I told myself the medication wasn't urgent because you didn't sound scared. I told myself you'd use the card. I told myself Leah would help if it mattered. Every version ended with somebody else doing the thing I didn't want to do. There was nothing in his words for me to soften, so I did not. That was selfish, I said. Yes. And the way I asked made it easier." He looked up. "What?" "I said everything was fine before telling you it wasn't. I called the medication a temporary problem. I didn't tell you I was scared until weeks later. That doesn't excuse me." "No, it explains me." He sat back. "I don't know how to help you be less capable," he said. The sentence caught me off guard. "I'm not asking you to." "You are, a little." I frowned. "My whole life, you were the person who knew what to do. If the car made a noise, I called you. If the sink leaked, I called you. If I made a mess, you showed up before I had to learn how bad it was. That was my mistake. Partly. It was also how I knew you loved me. I looked at him. So, when you needed medication and I couldn't fix the insurance or make the arthritis go away, the only thing I could do was give up something I had promised Claire. I chose not to, then I hated you for making me see the choice. You could have sat with me in it. I didn't know how. Neither did I. Outside the storage room, someone laughed. A drawer opened and closed. The cafe continued without us. Nathan looked toward the doorway. You want me to solder the radio? Yes. Will you tell me how? Yes. And if I do it wrong, I'll try not to take it out of your hand. That does not inspire confidence. It is the offer available. We returned to the table. Dolores glanced at us, then at the soldering iron. Should I hide the sharp objects? She asked. Only from Nathan, I said. He switched the iron back on. I guided him through heating the joint and feeding a small amount of solder into the connection. His first attempt formed a dull lump. That looks bad, he said. It is bad. Encouraging. Heat it again. The second attempt flowed cleanly. We replaced the dead tube the following week, the last cafe session before my trip. When Nathan turned the radio on, it hummed. Then a voice emerged beneath the static, reading the weather forecast. Bob clapped. Nathan adjusted the tuning knob until music filled the room. Simone took a photograph of us standing beside the radio. Nathan's shoulder touched mine. Neither of us looked at the camera because we were listening for the signal to hold. That evening, Nathan helped carry my suitcase to the front hallway. You packed the medication? He asked. Yes. Phone charger? Yes. Emergency card? Unfortunately. He nodded toward the drawer where I had placed his key. You want me to check the house anyway? No. Okay, come to the cafe Thursday. You won't be there. I know. He looked surprised. You trust me unsupervised? No. Dolores will supervise you beyond what is medically necessary. He smiled. A car horn sounded outside. Leah had arrived. Nathan lifted the suitcase and carried it to the porch. He and Leah looked at each other when she came up the walk. Hey, he said. Hey. He placed the suitcase in her trunk. Drive safe, he told her. I will. Neither mentioned the voicemail, the money, or lunch. Nathan turned to me. Have a good trip, Dad. I plan to. He nodded, stepped back, and let me leave with her. Leah waited until I fastened my seatbelt before pulling away. You have everything? She asked. Yes. Medication? Nathan already conducted this inspection. Did you pass? Barely. She checked the mirror. I made a playlist. Is it called Possible Music? It is now. The first song was by a band I had never heard of. The second was older than Leah. By the fourth, I realized she had arranged the music chronologically, beginning near the year of my birth and moving forward. You scheduled the songs too. I organized them. What happens when we reach the present? We drive in silence. That's motivation to slow down. The trip north took longer than it should have because Leah had marked 2 rest stops and refused to skip either one. At the first, she bought coffee. At the second, she walked around the car and checked the tires. You know, I did teach you some useful things, I said. You also taught me to save twist ties. They remain useful. You have a drawer full of them. That is how usefulness is measured. We reached the lake in late afternoon. Our hotel was 3 stories of faded blue siding facing a narrow beach. The lobby smelled like lemon cleaner, and a wooden sign beside the desk promised lake views from rooms that mostly viewed the parking lot. Leah had booked separate rooms across the hall from each other. I lifted my suitcase from the trunk, my right hand closed around the handle, then loosened without warning. Leah reached for it. I have it, I said. She stopped. Not dramatically, she simply stood beside the trunk and waited. I tried again. Pain ran through my thumb. For most of my life, I haven't ended the conversation. People either believed me or pretended to. Leah did neither. Would you carry it? I asked. Yes. She took the suitcase without changing her expression. At the room, she placed it on the luggage rack. Anything else? No. True answer? True answer. Dinner in an hour? I'll be ready. She left and closed the door. I sat on the edge of the bed, looking at the suitcase she had carried. Asking had taken 5 seconds. Nothing had fallen. No one had become smaller. The room had a framed photograph of a sailboat, 2 lamps with different colored shades, and a balcony barely deep enough for a chair. Beyond the parking lot and a row of scrub trees, I could see a strip of gray-blue water. I took my medication on schedule. Dinner was at a seafood restaurant where the waitress wrote her name upside down on the paper tablecloth. Leah ordered perch. I ordered meatloaf because I distrusted restaurants that offered too many kinds of fish. You drove to a lake to eat meatloaf, Leah said. I drove to a lake to spend time with you. The meatloaf is a separate decision. She looked down at her menu. That was almost sweet. Don't tell Dolores. We ate slowly. The first 20 minutes were easy. We discussed the hotel, the traffic, and a man in the parking lot who had spent 10 minutes arguing with a luggage cart. Then Leah asked, "Did Nathan really tell you he had the money?" "Yes." "What did you say?" "That it was selfish." "That's all?" We talked about other things. "Did you explain him to himself?" I tried not to. She pushed a lemon wedge around her plate. I listened to his voicemail again. "You don't have to tell me. I know." I waited. "It was better than I expected," she said. "He named the money. He admitted he lied. He didn't say he was under pressure or going through a hard time. Are you going to call him?" "I don't know." "That's fair." She pointed her fork at me. "I will leave this restaurant." I withdraw the comment. "I'm not waiting to forgive him. I'm trying to decide what I actually want." Good. Dad. That was not an evaluation. It escaped. She ate another bite. "I might want coffee," she said. "Eventually. Not Sunday dinner. Not a family meeting. Coffee where I can leave. That sounds specific. I learned from someone. I assume you mean your mother. I do not." We smiled at each other. The waitress brought dessert menus. Leah ordered a slice of cherry pie for us to share. It arrived tilted to one side, the crust broken and the filling spread across the plate. "That pie had a difficult journey," I said. "It looks like your lamp." The lamp retained more dignity. Leah took a photograph before we ate it. Outside, the air had cooled. We walked toward the beach while the sun lowered behind a bank of clouds. The sand was damp and packed hard near the water. Leah removed her shoes and carried them. I kept mine on. At my age, sand becomes a long-term commitment. We found a bench overlooking the lake. For a while, neither of us spoke. The water moved in small, steady waves. A fishing boat crossed far from shore. Behind us, the hotel's blue siding looked almost respectable in the evening light. "What was the worst part?" Leah asked. "Of what?" "The pictures." I knew what she meant. "Not the suite," I said. "Not the food." "The bathrobe?" That was offensive for separate reasons. She smiled. "The worst part was that he sounded sorry when he said no. He believed he was being kind. And when I saw the pictures, I realized his version of kindness required me to disappear before I became inconvenient." Leah watched the water. "I used to think you did that to me," she said. "I did. You didn't make me disappear. You made me easy." I looked at her. "You always said I was strong enough to understand, mature enough to let things go, capable enough to handle myself." I thought those were compliments. They were. They were also assignments. The wind lifted a strand of hair across her face. She tucked it behind her ear. "I don't want to become the good child now," she said. "I don't want us to be close because Nathan is failing. I don't want that either. If he gets better, I'm still allowed to be angry. Yes. If he gets worse, I'm allowed not to help. Yes. And if I decide I miss him, that doesn't mean what happened was fine. Yes." She looked over. "You're agreeing again. I'm attempting consistency." That would be new. The clouds split near the horizon. Sunlight spread across the lake in a narrow gold path. Leah checked her phone. "The sunset is 2 minutes early. Write a complaint." She set the phone on the bench between us and propped it against her shoe. "What are you doing? Taking a picture." "I look windblown." "You are windblown." She set the timer and sat beside me. At the last second, I said, "The hotel sign promised lake views. This bench should charge us extra." Leah laughed as the camera clicked. The photograph caught her leaning toward me, eyes closed, while I looked pleased with myself. It was not a dignified picture. I liked it immediately. The next morning, we walked through a small market near the marina. Leah bought postcards and a jar of local preserves. I bought her an oven mitt with a map of Lake Erie on it because she once burned a dinner roll in my kitchen. "One incident," she said. "History is made of incidents." We spent the afternoon doing only 3 of her 17 possible activities. She did not seem disappointed. I did not ask whether we were behind schedule. At 4, my phone vibrated. The Repair Cafe group had sent a series of messages. Nathan had posted a photograph of the old radio opened on our table. Static came back. Which capacitor did we leave in? My fingers started typing the answer automatically. Then I stopped. Simone knew the radio. So did Eddie. I wrote, "Ask Simone to check the connection near the volume control." Simone replied before Nathan could. "Already did. Your son soldered it badly." Nathan responded, "I soldered it under extreme supervision." Dolores added, "Experienced supervision." A minute later, Nathan posted another photograph. The radio stood upright, its dial glowing. Fixed, no one was in the picture. Leah looked over my shoulder. "He went without you?" "Yes." "How do you feel?" I considered the question. Unnecessary. She waited. "And proud." "That sounds uncomfortable." "It is." On our final evening, we ate sandwiches on the hotel balcony. The lake was visible only if I leaned around the railing and looked past the ice machine, but the air smelled clean and the sky turned pale pink. Leah did not ask me to make promises. I did not ask her when she would call Nathan. Monday morning, she carried my suitcase without waiting for me to struggle. This time, I let her. When we reached home, the digital frame was showing the grape lamp. Leah connected her phone and added the photograph from the bench, the ruined pie, and one of me standing near the marina with both hands in my jacket pockets. "You took that without asking. You looked relaxed. I was waiting for you to come out of the gift shop. Still counts." The frame changed to the picture of us laughing at the lake. Leah watched it for a moment. "I'll call you Thursday," she said. "For dinner? To talk about dinner, very cautious. I learned from someone." She hugged me and left. The house felt quiet after 4 days with her, but not empty. There was a difference. The Repair Cafe had survived my absence. According to Dolores, Nathan arrived early, made coffee too strong, and attempted to direct people until Simone handed him a broken fan and told him to direct that. "He did all right," Dolores admitted. "High praise. He did not take any pictures." Higher praise. Nathan came the next Thursday. He and I finished cleaning the radio's tuning mechanism while Bob hovered. When the music came through clearly, Simone took another photograph. This time, Nathan looked at the camera. I was watching the dial. That picture joined the frame. The Sunday potlucks continued, though not every week. I invited Nathan and Claire to one when Leah had already told me she would not be there. Nathan arrived 10 minutes early carrying cornbread Claire had made. He asked where to put it. He did not bring wine, tools, or a plan for improving the meal. He helped Eddie carry chairs and stayed to clean. When Claire asked whether Leah was coming next time, I said, "That is between Leah and Leah." Claire nodded. Nathan looked disappointed, but he did not ask me to intervene. Leah eventually called him. She told me only that they had coffee for 37 minutes and that neither of them left angry. I did not ask whether she had forgiven him. My hands remained unpredictable. Some mornings, I could turn a screwdriver without thinking. Other mornings, the electric jar opener felt like the finest invention in American history. I kept teaching at the cafe. I did less of the work myself. The emergency card balance went down slowly. The key remained in the battery drawer. Nathan kept knocking. One Thursday afternoon, he came by my house after work. The frame beside my chair displayed the Lake Erie photograph. He stood looking at it longer than I expected. "You two had good weather," he said. "Mostly. Did you enjoy yourself?" I did. He nodded. No complaint. No question about why he had not been invited. No explanation of how he would have chosen a better hotel. The frame changed to the ruined cherry pie. "What happened to that?" he asked. "Structural failure. Did you try to fix it?" "We used forks." He smiled. Then the picture changed again. Nathan and I stood beside the old radio at the Repair Cafe. The dial glowed between us. My hand rested near the tuning knob. His hands were in his pockets, waiting instead of reaching. He watched the photograph until the frame moved on. "You going to the cafe Thursday?" he asked. "I usually do." "Mind if I come?" The old answer rose first. "Of course. You don't have to ask." I let it pass. "Call me Thursday morning," I said. "And if you say you're coming, come." Nathan nodded. "I will." Then he picked up the empty soup bowl from my table and carried it into the kitchen without asking anyone to watch.